Snap down. Furness's kick is up. It's long enough. No good. Missed it left. We're going to overtime.
Pistol now, not Beer. Mesh point.
Adams throws it. Got a man at the goal line. Touchdown, Titans. Titans win. Titans win. Hessen takes it. Titans are your 2025 Class 3 champions.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Wow, what a ball game it was in Lynchburg at Liberty University, where the Titans of Lake Taylor High School got it done 48-42 in not one, but two overtimes, as they bring Coach Hank Sawyer his fourth state championship. There they are on the screen at a 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Thanks to Therese Dean for that image. As you see, Coach Sawyer and his Titans, also his lovely wife, Sandra Sawyer, the girls' basketball coach, who's got 4 rings. Ed, you like to joke with Hank, your good buddy and pal, who you said in the summertime you'd have the most improved team in the state. Who would have thought from 3-7 to 13-2 overall state champs in Class 3, a job well done. It was going to be a heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, whatever you want to call it, loss for either team. Kettle Run, who had an interim coach. What a year they had to get back to the championship game. They lost last year to Liberty Christian. They come from 19 down the semifinals to beat them. But 2 weeks in a row, you saw it last week on the show, Majerald Clark, a 27-yard game-winning touchdown pass from Kevin Adams at the end on the final play against Magna Vista. This time it's a 26-yard touchdown pass on 2nd and goal in the second OT. Adams to tight end Kassan Hessen.
Beautiful play. I mean, I'm excited watching it on film, let alone to be there, what it felt like. And it's a game winner in a state championship game. I mean, and I feel so glad for Hank. I mean, as a veteran guy, one of us oldsters, and he had a bad year last year, 3-7, and a little talk about behind his back about, well, Coach, maybe it's time for you to step aside and whatever. And they come all the way back and win a state title. Those are chill bump moments. And I'm so glad for him. And of course, the kids in getting it, but especially for Hank, because I got a feeling Hank's not going to be around. I don't think Hank's going to coach another 5-6 years. I think Hank may be looking at, a year or two, maybe. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. But
well, hold on now. His wife has a lot of good freshmen, and I think he told me, Matt, I got 12, 16 freshmen. We'll get Hank on the show, I'm sure, in the coming days here as we get closer to the holiday season and just to, recharge the batteries and reminisce on this championship run. But he, I think he's 67 years of age. He's right around the same ballpark as somebody I do the show with, I think. He's not slowing down. He still shows that, some of you old heads, that you've forgotten more football and sports than a lot of people will ever know.
Yeah, sometimes I represent that. Even right now in my new gig at Smithfield, we're 1-2, and our 2 losses. Frustrating because we turned the ball over way, way many times, and I'm thinking, dang, is this my fault here? But I like the idea what Hank said about, coach has a right to go out. A veteran coach, guy that's been winning, should have a right to go out the way he wants. And of course, when you win a state title, how much better could it be? Step aside. I don't start no rumors about, well, he won a state title, it's the best time to get out. I'm all for any coach who's enjoying it and excited about it. Keep going. No need to step away.
Let's dive in on this game. I know it's hard for some to squint and read that stat sheet, but I'll bring it up for you a little bit closer. I'll tell you what's on that screen. There's the box score, 48-42. Titans have 313 yards of offense to Kettle Run's 305. Dyson Tapp's gotten a loss at sophomore, went from wide receiver to quarterback. He actually, in this ball game, throws for 238 yards and 5 touchdowns. He got sacked 5 times by that Lake Taylor defense with Travis Willis and Latavion Hill and Devon Powell and company bearing down on him. Got a couple interceptions, including Devon Powell's 60-yard pick 6 to begin the scoring. So the Titans get the defense to cash in with offense. Powell had 30 sacks, if you remember, during the season. Awesome defender for them. Keon Johnson, the big, strong running back. He got kind of held in check in this game. 89 yards on 19 attempts for 3 touchdowns, but Adams made timely plays. Remember, he starts in the secondary. He'd be my MVP in this game. 123 yards rushing and a touchdown to go with his 4 of 8 passing for 81 yards and a score. But Tabb Scott was special for Kettle Run. You see the scoring. It was 12-0 Titans. Kettle Run goes in front 14-12. Titans go back up. It's 21-20 at the break. And then from there, they were trading punches. This was a heavyweight battle. And the only championship game of the 6, as you see some of them on our screen on the ticker, that was decided by single digits. Really the only game that was a barn burner.
Yeah, I'm noticing that too as the ticker goes by, because you always want to wonder when it gets to the state championship, is it one of those type of games where last possession wins, whether it be a field goal or whatever, interception return, kickoff return, punt return, and the game. And Lake Taylor won it on just a play, regular play. That just worked to perfection. And you're right, Keon Johnson with only 89 yards, but in high school, 89 yards is a lot. 3 touchdowns, though. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's what that kid's lived in the end zone most of the season. And
let's 42 now. I think it's 42 rushing for the year. Would he be your Tidewater Player of the Year and perhaps the Class 3 State Player of the Year? He's certainly a great candidate for both of those awards, right?
Yeah, I would say he should wrap up some 3A awards. Now, when you put them all together, Maury won again, and Smith.
We'll get to them in a bit. Yep.
Yeah, and we're going to get to those guys, and you might look at them when it comes to like Tidewater Player of the Year, whatever. But Keon Johnson doesn't have to take a back seat to anybody. I do say this to Kettle Run, great year, tremendous game. You didn't get blown out in the championship game. You got beat on that last second play, and that boy's that hard to take. I'd imagine that locker room took a while to everybody to depart that locker room. That had to be really hard. And you're telling me a wide receiver at the beginning of the year was moved to quarterback and did that kind of a job? That's tremendous. And it was an interim coach running the show. I got to believe they should take that title away from interim off of him, I hope.
Totally agree.
And give him the regular gig. But Kettle Run didn't embarrass himself. Like you said, you pegged it the right way, like a heavyweight boxing match. We're just trading punches until somebody gives out or the bell rings, and that's 12 rounds, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm really, really, really so happy for Hank Sawyer.
Yeah, this is like the third time in 4 or 5 years that Kettle Run has lost in a championship game, but they had an off-season situation. I don't want to go in-depth on it, but it was similar in some respects to Union. That was a controversy and could have broken that team apart. But kudos to those coaches that remain there, and Delmar Christian stepping in as the interim head coach and the community, those involved, to keep things from going south for them as they got back to the championship game. And Dyson Tapscott's going to be special. But Lake Taylor, I think what's most amazing about this is I saw them late in the summer in a scrimmage against Nansemond River. They did not look all that great. We ranked them number 9 in the preseason top 10 on VirginiaPreps.com. They were the lowest ranked team we had that won a state championship, 9th in Class 3. We still didn't be much improved after 3-7 last year. We had Strasburg 7th in Class 2, won the title. We also had, in addition to them, Rappahannock at number 4 in Class 1 that won a title, while Maury, Varina, and Oscar Smith, your 5, 4, and 6 champions, respectively, were all preseason number 1. Took some flack from you on Varina, by the way, over Phoebus, and they won the championship with ease, which we'll get to in a bit here. But Lake Taylor lost that second game of the year to Hampton, 40-34. However, from there, I thought that was a big moment for them to show they could hang with a really lethal offense. And all year long, outside of the Maury game, which they lost 42-14, but it was 14 all midway through the third quarter, they scored at least 27 points on everybody. They averaged 43.9 per game on the year. So their offense, that twin veer, known for running, but they won 2 postseason games with passes. It wasn't just all running. They made the clutch passes when they had to make them.
I like that because, me, if I'm coaching football, I'm throwing a lot. And a lot of guys tell me that's why you coach basketball, because in high school you're going to have to run way more than you pass, and I'd be the opposite. But again, that's a tribute to Hank. It trusting his staff. They went with something a little bit outside the box, and it worked. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. It's 50-50, and this time they did it. But to go to it in a state championship situation, that says a lot.
Yeah, it really does. No question about it. We've also got coming up later in the show, the Maury Commodores. Three-peat in Class 5 as they get it done against the Highland Springs Springers. And also, later in the program, Oscar Smith, Class 6 champions, as they go back-to-back in Class 6. And they do it with a shutout, Ed. I know you're wondering, when's the last time there was a shutout in the Class 6 championship? I'm going to tell you about that a little bit later on in the program. And you sometimes get donuts. And speaking of donuts, when we come back, you'll see where Matt Hatfield and his pops went. You're watching with us. Where are you watching with us at, Ed?
Cova Sports TV.
Where you like, where you share, and you always subscribe. Come back.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Infamous Wood Grill in Harrisonburg. There's one in Charlottesville as well. Food all over the place. The greatest buffet you're going to find in the Commonwealth. You've got fruits, you've got salads, you've got desserts, you've got fried food, steaks, chicken. It's a packed house here. Football teams all over the Commonwealth come here for the championship games. North Stafford in the house, Lake Taylor at the one in Charlottesville. They're all over. All right, we're here at the Wood Grill. Matt Hatfield alongside the original DJ Hat, JMU alum, class of 77, Mike Hatfield. Tell the audience the observation you just made.
We're at the Smoke Wood Grill, and there seems to be an enormous number of overweight people.
And that surprises you?
No, it's a buffet.
All right.
How'd they get in this condition?
What is your grade from tonight's festivities?
I'd say it's about a 9.
9 out of 10, okay.
Yeah.
What would put it over the top for you? Dancing girls?
Topless dancing girls.
Oh, don't say that on the show. You're a dirty man.
You asked me.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Can't take my pops anywhere. With the Coach Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield back here on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe where we keep things clean now on the program.
I agree with DJ Hat.
No. Never been to the Wood Grill, though, have you? It was a good time there. Really was.
I've been to a couple buffets similar to that, where they had just unbelievable amount of food, including steak on the buffet that you come out and get. So I understand what he's saying. I love the comment about he noticed a lot of heavier people in the buffet place. So what would you expect?
Yeah. Well, not only did Lake Taylor win a state championship from the city of Norfolk, another team did. A couple more teams from the 757. We're talking about the Maury Commodores. I know it never gets old to win a state championship. You won one way back in the 1980s in basketball, Ed, at Suffolk High School, and the Commodores celebrating their fourth on the Highland Springs Springers by a count of 25-7. So Maury, they are state champs yet again in Class 5. Three-peat, 4 total since 2019, not 1999, 2019, as Doreen McCain's team has beaten Stonebridge a couple of different times in the championship round. They've beaten Highland Springs now in the championship run, and last year Briar Woods. There's the Class 5 champs on the screen there. And this was a pretty dominant start for them. It didn't take long, Ed, for them to get off on the board with a score.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, they took the opening kick all the way back.
Now,
what are the chances of that in a state game, taking the opening kick, which is exciting anytime at any level, high school, college, or pro, took it all the way back for a touchdown?
Well, when you have a kid by the name of Matthew back there waiting for it, you're going to be in the winner's circle.
We're talking about two different types of speed. You waiting to get moving and him gone.
Well, he was gone on this one. Let's watch
To start things off, it'll be a squib kick, fielded straight up the gut. Running room and more. To the 40, to the 30, down to the 20, 10-5, touchdown Commodores. Woo. Matthew Williams. Just like you draw it up. If you're Maury.
It's a pretty nice start to a state.
Yeah, hard to beat that, isn't it, Ed?
That was nice. That was a nice rub. Not a deep kickoff by Highland Springs. Kind of picked it up in the middle where you'd want to kick it off, but didn't have as much room to have long to go, but still, heck of a run. They just outran everybody.
They really did. Now, you had all surprised at that, not being a long kickoff there by Lauren Johnson's team, which, again, credit them for getting this far. They lost 3 games during the season. This was not the typical Lauren Johnson team. And in the second half, they battled to make this thing more respectable with the Maury Commodores. But it felt like Maury was just going to have too much weaponry for them from start to finish. And the way they put up points over 50 per game, it's hard to keep them down for the entire 48-minute duration, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not. Like I said, Maury's going to outscore people, and their defense is not bad. I just think their offense trumps it so much. Highland Springs, and helmets off to them. They've lost 3 games and they're playing for a state title. That's a mark of a great program, not just a good team once in a while. That's a great program that they can lose 3 games and still make it all the way into a state title. And again, when you play Maury, you got to pick your poison. Can't stop everything. And if you're only going to score 7 points, I would say 100% chance you're not beating the Maury team because they're going to score way over 7.
Remember, Ed, last week, the difference for Maury in the state semifinals against Stonebridge was the running of one Tayshawn Branch. He was unstoppable, right?
Yep.
He couldn't be contained. His runs, you see him getting his medal, 2,000-plus all-purpose yards. He ran for nearly 300 yards on the Bulldogs last week with 4 trips to the end zone. And, in fact, Tayshawn Branch was so good last week. He was how good, Matt? How was he good? He was the Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week. That's how good he was there with those numbers you see on the screen there. But when you have to pay attention to Branch so much, it opens the door for other things. And you talked about this last week on the show, something you watched here, a touchdown pass, and also the quarterback, Damo Everett. This was the second score because that first kickoff wasn't the last one they had in the opening quarter. They were looking for more.
One to the near side. Branch moves to the right, and he'll take the handoff again. This time Everett will keep it. He's got some running room. He splits the defense in 2. Inside the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown Maury.
That looked easy. Damo Everett has wheels, folks. Not just a quarterback that can sling it. Here's the fake. They bite down on Branch, and why wouldn't they? Because he's a locomotive. And here's Everett showing, I can take it to the house as well. Doing so in those neon green shoes. And already Maury's up double figures, not even 3 minutes expired in this Class 5 state finals at JMU.
I got to give you credit. You saw this happening last week because you mentioned it about watch Damo when he tries to throw the bubble. He handed off to Branch. He can take off and run, and they did on that play.
Well, there was a play he did last week. It's an excellent fake move.
Yeah.
But he handed off to Branch this time, but he continued to run the play. And It looked like he was going to either pitch it or actually went through the motion of throwing it, and he froze a couple of defenders. So that tells me it's in their playbook that he can fake it to the back and just keep it. And he can move a little bit. He ain't afraid. He ain't going to slide into second base and try to get down. He's going to try to outrun people, which is what he did.
Well, and speaking of which, when you worry about Branch running and you worry about Everett running, you also worry about that air attack for the Commodores, and they have weapons, whether it be Elijah Moss-Williams playing on his future college home field at JMU, Javon Wiggins, William and Mary signee, North Carolina Central pledge Damon McDaniel Jr., whose pops was a heck of a player back in his day at Lansdowne. You remember him. And that Matt Williams guy, too.
Where he plays that. 3rd and 7. Everett looking down the sidelines. Got a man running wide open. Caught at the 25. That's Williams again. Touchdown, Commodores.
I think Matt Williams is having a party here in the state championship game. You see he's going on the go route, and he's got his man roasted, toasted. Touchdown, Maury cruising. Not even 6 minutes gone by. 64 yards to Painter.
Busted coverage, Ed. Busted coverage. And if you have that happen against Maury, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, he snuck behind a defender, and when he caught it, he was 5, 7, 8 yards away. They're not catching him. It's a speedster, not catching him. And I love the way Everett just put that ball right in his hands in stride. He didn't have to reach for it, stop for it, look over his shoulder. I mean, he just caught it in stride and went. That's a beautiful executed play.
Well, and he was soft-spoken afterwards. We caught up with him and asked him about that play in the post-game presser. Here's what he said, and also some comments from his teammate Isaiah Ike Simmons, who didn't get a chance to play, the 3-time All-State linebacker who signed to play at Pittsburgh. He was still involved, rooting his teammates on from the sidelines.
That was a money place for us in practice this week, knowing it was going to hit. And the corner came down, left Matt free wide open, just connect, don't miss. Big play.
Your eyes light up when you saw him get that open, or?
I bet it did. I bet it did. He's an easygoing guy. That's his personality. But I'm pretty sure that if his eyes didn't open, like physically, inside his brain somewhere, they were probably wide open to that call. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. No question, Matt.
Ike, let me ask you about not being on plays last 2 weeks, but you were still very much involved with this team, coaching on the sidelines with the coaches and encouraging your teammates. How proud are you of your defensive mates to almost get a sit out today, and what your teammate Javonte Hughes did there, kind of being the leader of the defense in your absence?
It means everything to me that my guys were able to step up today and perform on the stage how they did. The way the guys performed was nothing but expected. I expected Vontae to step up in my absence. He already knew. I didn't have to say anything to him. He already knew the deal. Elijah came behind me. He stepped up big for us today. It was beautiful to see, honestly. It was beautiful.
Beautiful to see, Ed. 14 tackles for Elijah King and Isaiah Ike Simmons' place. We didn't know who this kid was 2-3 weeks ago. He gets 14 tackles in a state championship game. Heck of a story.
Yeah, I mean, he stood out, which goes to tell you, probably on any other team, he's the Ike Simmons of that team because he really stepped in on a kid who's a superb defender. You know, he's a Division I signee at Pitt. And they never missed a beat. They just never missed a beat.
They didn't, and they'll have a lot of pieces back. Ed, 12 seniors depart from that squad, but they'll have Damo back, the quarterback, Branch, the running back. I mean, the numbers those two guys put up this year was incredible.
You know, Damo Everett, quarterback. How about this? He's responsible for over 4,000 yards, 4,035, if I'm not mistaken, 58 touchdowns. If I get it right, 45 he threw, 11 he ran in, and he even caught a touchdown pass from that. Here comes that man again, Matt Williams, threw the touchdown pass.
He's back next year too, by the way. Williams is back. So that's kind of the big three for them on offense. And I'm sure it's going to be more than just those three that'll be carrying the mail for the Maury Commodores in Class 5 as they try to go for a 4-peat. And we'll see if Doreen McCain gets any sniffs from the college level. I think that's going to be coming sooner than later at some point. There was a really long exchange afterwards with him and Lauren Johnson at midfield. Lauren's been kind of the flag carrier for Virginia high school football as the dean of coaches with his 5 state titles, almost 200 wins there. We know Hank Sawyer got his 4th. McCain gets his 4th, but McCain's a lot younger than those two guys, and he's not going to be slowing down anytime soon. And speaking of not slowing down anytime soon, the Oscar Smith Tigers, they now have 6 championships since 2008. They went from Richard Morgan to the late, great Bill D and Scott Johnson. They came up just short under Coach D and Coach Johnson, and now Chris Scott's got himself 4 rings with the Tigers at the helm, and one at his alma mater of Ocean Lakes. They went back-to-back in Class 6. We'll talk about that when we come back right here on Cova Sports TV. You're watching 757 Sports Talk.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloitte, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7 right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Titletown, you might start calling it, back in Chesapeake. And what a fitting end as well. We lost Kenny Easley, one of the great all-time Oscar Smith Tigers. I was fortunate to play for my dad, to get to know him a little bit. He was a great guy, former Seattle Seahawk, and I know he's watching up there in heaven. Congratulations to Coach Scott and the Oscar Smith Tigers. 44-0 today. State champs yet again.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here on 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. We mentioned a couple of state champs from the city of Norfolk. What about South Norfolk and their Chesapeake? The Oscar Smith Tigers are state champs yet again, and their sixth since 2008. Coach Chris Scott, who won a championship at Ocean Lakes, his alma mater, won a couple during the COVID calendar year of 2021. They had the spring season, then the fall season, beat South County, then beat Madison. Then last year won the Classic by a whisker over the Madison Warhawks at JMU. They took care of Madison in a scare in this year's state semis, and then they blast, and I do mean blast, the North Stafford Wolverines 44-0 in the championship round on Saturday. You and I both had the Tigers winning it, but your prediction was a much closer game, as was mine. Didn't quite see it being that lopsided or one-sided. How about you?
No, I like to think state championship games are within a touchdown or two because they both got there through a grueling season. And it is amazing as we get into playoffs. So sometimes there are blowouts. And in a state championship game, 44-0, that's a blowout. I guess it's the old adage, the more things change, the more things stay the same when it comes to Oscar Smith and state titles.
You see a couple of those defensive standouts. Jaden Koval, number 7, holding the banner there, going to UVA. Narad Jarvis on the ground, number 0, known as Flip, going to Buffalo. And, of course, Travis Johnson, the Michigan signee, speaking with Larry Obama from the Virginia Pilot there after he caught a couple of touchdown passes. And this first one was a nice one, Ed, because it was a little bit of a celebration for him as the Tigers, catching it from his good teammate, and Lonnie Andrews III, the junior, able to help them get more separation from North Stafford in the first half.
There's Andrews, back to pass.
He's got the man in the flat.
Didn't see him. Now he throws it back to the near side to Johnson. Johnson cuts at the 20. Johnson to the 10. Touchdown, Oscar Smith with the flip into the end zone. That'll be a unsportsmanlike flag, but you know what? At this point, the points count.
They do. And you see, he missed the guy in the flat at first and Curtis to his left, but you know what? If you miss one guy, Travis Johnson will bail you out on the sideline. Here he goes.
How about
Steps through.
this cut? Yeah.
Woo. And now about a somersault for a good measure. Woo. Touchdown. You know what? You can live with those. I know people get upset about that, but remember last year he got one that I was not crazy about either on both sides for Madison and Smith in that game. But it's probably his final chance to do this in a state championship game. Depending on what happens in the second half, you can live with that.
How about you? Would you been able to nail that somersault back in your heyday?
I would have to do a log roll into the end zone. I'd have to get on Travis. He didn't quite nail it. I thought he'd flip it and maybe land on his feet. I wonder.
Get on him for what?
Yeah, you're gonna do a flip. Let's do it. Let's get a 9.9 out of it. That would probably be about a 7.5.
Well, let's judge his second touchdown because we thought that might be the last one of his career, but the Tigers put one more in for good measure with a running clock against the Wolverines, who were missing their standout wide receiver defensive back, junior with 27 offers, Kanaz Sullivan. We knew that'd be a problem. Well, it was a problem without Sullivan. Who's going to stop Travis Johnson?
And about 8 here for Oscar Smith. Quick toss to the edge. Travis Johnson turns on the Jets. He's inside the 30 to the 20 to the 10. Touchdown, Oscar Smith.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel for Andrews and Johnson. And now they're going to celebrate another TD, second one of the day for the 4-star headed to Michigan. You see just in motion, Johnson gets room to operate. And when he catches it like this, good outside block from Bradley, he's gone.
Too much speed on the field from Travis Johnson here going to Michigan. Future Wolverine.
And Ed, while Travis Johnson and Lonnie Andrews III, who had 3 TD passes, the other one going to Quali Price, are the headliners for this Oscar Smith team. 2 surefire all-state first-team performers, region players of the year, and Andrews last year, Johnson this year. This team is more than just those 2 guys. Running the football, Tajay Curtis comes back. He's been out a few weeks, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. The defense, they bent a little bit, but they never broke. They get a shutout here in the championship game, and North Stafford was really one-dimensional. They couldn't get much going throughout the day. 3 sacks. The depth, the size of Smith up front, it was just too much for North Stafford. It's really been too much for everybody in Class 6 these last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, Smith has been here before. Most of those kids have been to a couple state championships. They know the journey, the path. North Stafford's there for the first time, and sometimes people are just happy to be there and forget, well, wait a minute, while we're here, let's try to win it. That's, like I always said, that's a regular game on Smith's schedule, state championship, when they write out a schedule. And you're right, they have more than just 1, even 2 weapons. They've got other kids that can really do something. It's just that a kid like Travis Johnson hears so much of, and he dominates so much of the headlines because he's that good.
Well, we also asked the youngsters from Oscar Smith about that experience of having been on the big stage before. This was North Stafford's first time there, Ed, since 2004. Those kids weren't even born back then. They're on the team now. It had an effect on this game. And here's what Johnson, along with Narod Jarvis, Tajay Curtis, and Lonnie Andrews told us about that experience. There's no substitute for it.
Oh, it definitely helped us. Last year was close. Last year we didn't play our best, but I think this game we just played the best game we played all season. And last year really helped us because we've been here. That team we just played hasn't. So I think that really helped us.
Piggybacking on that, they was happy to be here. We've been here before. We always come to the state championship. We play for state championships, not to make it to the state championship for nothing. And this team right here, like she spoke on the Gonzaga game, we were, I don't know, maybe just not ready yet. Just had to test the waters because maybe we thought we were 6A state champions. We're going to come and do it again. We're going to bust them. Nah, that's not how this works around here. They woke us up, and now look at us now.
The same thing Travis and Flip said. Everybody just woke up at the right moment. The big time players made big time plays, so that's what we did.
Like just going based off what Travis said, and Coach Scott told me, like he came in the locker room, asked us something early. He was like,
are y'all happy? One of the players said, yeah, but Coach Scott was like, what are we happy about? We ain't won nothing yet. So just coming in with that type of mentality, knowing we haven't finished the goal that we set for ourselves at the start of the season yet, that made us more hungry and things of that nature. And just like based off that Gonzaga game, I feel like that gave us a nasty taste in our mouth that we feel like we didn't want no more for the rest of the season. It woke us up, it made us more humble and things of that nature, so it helped us out for the rest of the season.
I could maybe add, Bonnie, these guys decided that the first, we call it a mock game, the way we do our practice right before. It's called a mock game, right? We do a coin toss and we go through the game the way how it is, and it's supposed to end in bull victory. So we go from that's our walkthrough, but it's not our walkthrough run through. And these guys decided to come out there and go shirtless. In the cold. So, hey, I knew right then it was all about business. They were ready to go. So I said, okay, who's going to be the first one to
Yeah, they went shirtless in the cold. And by the way, first shutout in a Class 6 Division 6 final since, any idea, Ed? Any idea?
2005.
You were so close. You were 3 years off of it. 2002, when C.D. Hilton blanked Oakton 6-0. And this was the largest margin of victory of the Class 6 championship since they expanded to 6 classifications ever. And even going back to Division 6 days in the 1980s. So from a standpoint of historic, this will be an historic championship for Oscar Smith. So I'll throw a couple things your direction. Thing number one, how much do you think we had no undefeated teams in VHSL football this year? None. Entire state. Hasn't happened. Our good pal Mike Whittington looked this up for me since 1979 when Strasburg, Perry McClure, and Southampton all won championships in 3 classifications with a blemish, with a loss. How much is that parity a matter of also these teams testing themselves out of state, like Oscar Smith playing Gonzaga, Maury playing Cardinal Gibbons and Bishop McNamara, Varina playing Grimsley from North Carolina, among others that play out-of-state competition to get them ready for it. And it's so hard for a grind, the grind of a season to get it done, going unbeaten, be it college, high school, or pro. And then the second question for you, which is the even harder one, who are you picking as the best team in the state, any classification? Oh, this is a juicy one. Take them any order you want to. Best team, regardless of class, and how much do you think the out-of-state competition has given us parity at the lower levels, but also these top teams, they have their measuring stick games outside of VA competition.
Well, if a strong program feels they're not getting tested enough in non-district games, let alone their district, then it behooves them to go out and play a powerhouse from somewhere else, whether it be another state or another part of the state that's got a program very similar. Now, when you do that, there's a good chance you're going to lose. And then it's like, oh, my God, we're not as good as people say they're not as good as we thought they were. They lost. Well, look who they're playing. And that's been said about a few teams in the 757 when they venture out to play these out-of-state teams. So if you got a powerhouse, I always say in scheduling, schedule comparable. So if you think you got a powerhouse, you're going to have to play a powerhouse or two somewhere in the season. If you don't have another powerhouse in your district, then go find one. And it's going to lend to maybe less teams being undefeated, if that's how it is. Looking at the state champions, if we had a tournament, which they can never do, and who would come out on top at the very end.
And by the way, real quickly, Maury beat Varina by 1 in a close game in September, rallied to win it. Some think the outcome could be different. And we'll talk about Varina's championship in Class 4 over Loudoun County, as well as titles for Strasburg over Glenver in Class 2. Glenver was the last unbeaten until the Rams of Strasburg knocked them off. It was the one game we got wrong on our 6 picks on Virginia Preps, and Rappahannock taking down Rye Cove in Class 1, Ed. But Oscar Smith and Maury have not played. Fans across Hampton Roads have been clamoring for this matchup for a few years now. I'm not sure we'll get it, but it is a neat thing to have water cooler talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in our own little world of 757, we'd love to see that. I think it's like, wasn't it not Phoebus and we talked about Phoebus and Maury a few years back?
No, Phoebus and Smith played. They played a benefit game. It wasn't a real game.
Right.
Phoebus and Smith played it. Yeah, Phoebus and Smith played a real game.
Which is another way, it's another way to play a powerhouse is not just in a regular game. Well, just go scrimmage somebody.
Yep.
That's that good. Scrimmage is a little bit different in a real game. Scrimmage is a little bit more controlled. Regular game, it's wide open. You just play. Who would win? My first instinct is to say Maury. I think they've got more weapons, so to speak. But I look at Oscar Smith's dominance when it comes to state titles and like to think, I'm not going to be the dude that's going to pick against Smith, whether it's hypothetical or real situation. Like I didn't pick much against Phoebus this year. And Phoebus did not have one of their Phoebus years. Had a good year, but it was not a Phoebus year.
Yep.
So I would say I would go with Maury.
I know this is a cop-out answer, Ed, but I tell people that if they played 10 times, Oscar Smith and Maury, or Oscar Smith, Varina, Maury, Varina, I think they go 5-5 against each other. And my reasoning for that is they were a 1-point margin the first go-around with Maury and Varina this year. We haven't seen Smith and Maury play. And I look at it two ways. The body of work tells me that Maury has the best body of work. 41 straight wins over Virginia opponents. They've had the best statistics. But as far as the performance in the championship round, Oscar Smith and Varina were the most dominant with shutouts, lopsided shutouts. So it's depending on what your criteria is, if you're going to rank them, if you're in combined classes. If you're looking for the most dominant in the playoffs in the championship game, you go with Smith or Varina. If you're looking for the total body of work, you go Maury. It's depending on what flavor of ice cream you like. I'm a vanilla guy. You're a chocolate dude. There you have it.
See, chocolate chip. Real chocolate chip is my
Some like strawberry. Some like strawberry out there.
I like strawberry. Might be number 2. Cherry vanilla number 3. Butter pecan is always an easy one. So, 50% of this, 50% of that.
All right. We've got more coming your way, including what Rappahannock, Strasburg, and Varina did in their championship games. Plus, we'll finish up on maybe some high school hoops at NFL too. It is Cova Sports TV and 757 Sports Talk.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and the one and only Coach Ed Young, every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Cova Sports TV. From high school football and basketball to the NFL, MLB, college sports, and the NBA, if it's making headlines, they are breaking it down. Bold takes, big-time guests, and a few laughs, especially at the expense of that basketball coach Ed Young. Catch it on Cox TV and your view, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Cova Sports TV.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here is Matt Hatfield.
And welcome back to 757 Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. We have a special guest with us. He is the head football coach, the new head football coach of the Booker T. Washington Bookers in his first year at the helm. You see on the screen there, he's wearing the Maury coaching outfit. He's been the defensive coordinator for the past 8 years of the Maury Commodores and now the new head man of the Booker T. Washington Bookers. We say hello to Coach Mike Privott, former all-time linebacker for the Lake Taylor Titans, also played in college at Norfolk State and Louisville. Congratulations, my friend. You're now a head football coach, also celebrating a birthday this weekend. I think it is birthday number, 37? Is that right?
36, actually.
Okay, you're 36. Give you an extra year. But you know what? In the next couple of weeks, you might have that extra year. You feel like you've aged. But congratulations. You got a 4th ring coming your way, 3rd in a row, Maury, and you're the new head football coach of the Bookers. Got to be pretty stoked.
Oh my God, it's been a wild ride, man. It's been very overwhelming, to say the least. Because I knew we should advance. That I did get the job, and I knew I had to get to work while still coaching at Maury. I knew I had to do some things, and I knew I had to call some people because when I got done at Maury, I knew I would go right to work at Booker T. So it's been very overwhelming, a little challenging at first, but I'm trying to get it going. Being a head coach is very, I say, understand that the shots be called by you. There's nobody else in front. You are the front guy. So you get the final say-so on things, and that's something new that I got to understand, that I am the final say-so. So I got to be on point of what I want done.
Sure. Now, certainly you've been a part of winning programs as a player and as a coach, but what drew you, what attracted you most to the situation at Booker T? Because the Bookers, they have history. Bruce Smith played there, for crying out loud, the all-time sack leader, but they've fallen on hard times here lately. They've only had 2 winning seasons in the last 15 years, but it is in Norfolk, your home roots. What was it about this job that drew you to it?
Honestly, truly, just knowing the background of the school itself. I played in the city. We played a lot. When I played against them a lot, they were always talented, always had good talented players. They always had a good foundation. And I know what it could be if you put the right things in place. I know I have athletes, I have players. I feel like everybody can't coach at that school particularly. I think that's a strong person to coach at Booker T. I thought that it was my first job out of college, being football coach, and we won. We won 8 games. We beat a 10-0 Powhatan team that year at Powhatan. So I know what it could be if the right guy was in place, and I felt like I was the right guy for the job. That's why I applied for the job.
That's right. Only 3 times in school history have they advanced in the postseason. You mentioned that the year against Powhatan, also 1997 against Churchland, in 2021 against Lafayette. So they've beaten some teams that have also advanced in the playoffs here. For you, I think the thing people will wonder about is how will you be different from previous coaches? How will you approach things at Booker T to get results, be it on or off the field?
I don't know what the last staff has done, but I have the formula to build a good program. Like I said, man, I watched Doreen McCain put this thing together at Maury, and I watched him do it with being consistent and holding everybody accountable, from the coaches to the players to the parents. I watched him do it for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, he had the blueprint. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to do everything that I saw him do to build Maury. I'll be a fool to change anything. I mean, he put a great product on the field by doing the groundwork behind the scenes, being the guy that was organized, being on point with things he had schedule-wise. Like, it was never a time where at Maury we didn't know what was going on. He was always on it, always ahead of the game, ahead of the turnpike. So my job is to come in and lay the foundation of what I expect from my coaches and my players. It starts with me being able to have a system in place to where we all understand it and we all gonna follow. Even though I'm not there, my coaches speak the same. I don't speak the same language, the same time. We're saying the same things all the time and being consistent on what we want from the players. I think that the inner city Norfolk kids, I think that we always did better with structure. Me being a kid from Norfolk, we all did better with being organized. Having a coach that know what he wants to do, we're not winging it, all being on time, doing it the right way. We do better with coaches like that. So it's my plan to be organized, to be consistent, and my approach on and off the field with those guys.
We're chatting with the new head football coach of the Booker T. Washington Bookers, Mike Privott, former all-Tidewater linebacker with the Titans of Lake Taylor, where he finished up as the leading tackler all time there before playing in college at Louisville and at Norfolk State. Of course, he's had coaching stints around the 757. He mentioned at Booker T. Washington, Salem High School, Oscar Smith, and most recently the defensive coordinator, the architect of that defense for the reigning three-time state champion Maury Commodores, who got 4 rings. Our guest here on 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. All right, Coach Priv, the thing I think we love most about you, I remember you as playing with the Reckless Abandon as a linebacker for the Titans back in the day. Now getting to turn 36 here makes me feel old, like I'm in my 80s, in my 90s. But you brought up Coach McCain. I was telling somebody as I found out about the news you getting hired, actually knew about it well before it came out. But one of the things that stands out to me is you have played or coached under 3 different men that have Hall of Fame resumes that each have 4 state championships. You mentioned Doreen McCain at Maury. Mm-hmm. You also played for Hank Sawyer at Lake Taylor, 4 rings now. And you played for you coached under the late, great Bill D for a year at Oscar Smith. Yes. Take me through what each of those men have taught you and helped you in your journey here, beginning with Coach Sawyer, because that's where it all started for you as a teenager then.
Yeah, I mean, playing for Coach Sawyer, it made me want to be a coach at some point in time in my career. Just the way that he embraced us as players, being able to talk to him about anything that was going on in our lives, being our coach. And back then, he was very hard on us a lot during practice. It just made me prepare for college as far as the way practice would be ran. He was very enthusiastic about practice. He was always upbeat while in practice. You know what I'm saying? He was always on our backs about practicing hard, practicing fast, being tough, being physical. So I always knew that playing football, you had to be tough, you had to be physical. So that was always the motto. He always preached being tough and physical. So now as a coach, I now take to what I coach my guys of being tough, being fast, being physical. Coach Bill D was the same way. He was about being on time, being organized, being ready to coach your guys up. Like, he had one thing, I'll never forget it. The team was stretching, about to stretch for practice, right? And I was talking to the guys in practice, I give them practice. And from stretch, we went to individual drills. So he said, hey, you young coach, hey, stop talking and get your drill set up for individual. So in my mind, I'm like, huh? He was like, as a coach, you ready to go right after on scratch. So don't be trying to fire your drills, have it already set ready to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, okay, I get what he's trying to say. You know what I'm saying? So he taught me how to be, have a plan for practice, stick to the plan. Don't be trying to scramble around for your practice stuff, have it already set up so where it's structured the way the kids just flow accordingly. That was real big in my career as a coach. Coach McCain, I learned from him on how to attack practice. And what I mean by that is he was always a stickler for the small things, alignment. Let's say the play was good, but if a guy aligned wrong, he would be like, hey, it'll be where he feels that the play was bad because it wasn't done correctly. His thing was, it was always about the big moments. Like, yeah, we get messed up playing the lesser teams, but we play the bigger teams. Okay, it has to be right. It has to be crisp. So I learned for him to prepare as if you're playing for the big moment. Don't let the small things slide in those games that's lesser than the main objective. So I'm going to take all 3 of those components and put in my own program to where we all understand the game plan, how to practice, being organized, being tough, being physical, all right, and being detailed in our approach to practice and the games. So I got a lot from all those guys.
Love it. A few more minutes with you and let you run here. We thank you for the time here. The thing I also appreciate about you, and I think some of those mentors, people that have been involved in your development as a coach, is the authenticity, just being real and who you are. I mean,
People are never going to get mistaken for knowing who Coach Privott is or where he stands, and the same goes back to Coach Sawyer when you played for him and where he is. He's joked about since winning his 4th state title. People want to run back up on the porch, and they said it was time to retire, and here he is. He's still doing it at his age of 67, loving it. And I know you got that from Coach D and carrying on here in your coach development. But for you, was this at all a tough decision to walk away from Maury? I mean, you're the DC of a program that's just been, or did you feel like, you know what, we've kind of done, or I've kind of done all that I can here, winning championships. I want that new challenge, and to be a head coach, it's the time, and the timing's right.
I'm gonna tell you something. People who were there saw me. I was crying because I knew that my time at Maury was up, and I just felt so emotional to know that the guys that I would come back to, I wouldn't be there. So it was very hard. I think that we were on top of the state for the last 4 or 5 years. But like you said, I thought it was time for a new challenge. We won 4 out of 7 years. I thought the job was done. I thought that what we came out to do in 2018, we accomplished. We came out, we were effective. We won games, and we won state championships. That was a goal at hand. When Coach McKay put that staff together, he, in my opinion, he put together one of the best staffs ever assembled in our area. Just the guys that he had those first 4 years that we had together were top-notch coaches. So I thought going into it, I want the next best top coaches on my staff at Booker T. I think I've done a good job so far of getting the next best coaches on my staff for this upcoming season. But yes, I did feel like it was time to move on because we reached the goal so many times that it's now time for me to kind of get my own started at my own level.
Well, that leads me to my final 2 questions for you, because your vision for this program, you bring in guys that you coach with at Maury. I see you put on social media the announcement of guys like Demetrius Bowie, who was a standout wide receiver, Mario Woods, who was a all-Tidewater safety, coached with you guys at Maury. You also got Brad Holloman coming in as a receivers coach. Tell me what that's like. Now you're going to be going against Coach McCain and Coach Sawyer in the Eastern District. I know you're going to be rushing those challenges against defending champs in both Class 5 and Class 4. And then most importantly, not just assembling your staff and your vision, but I know this is different for every person and every coach. What matters to you most, Coach Privott, in coaching?
Me personally, the matter most is getting our kids prepared for life after football as well. Because football teaches you so many lessons in life. Being a team player, pulling your own weight, being consistent, leading by example, and it travels to the workplace. When you get a job one day in the working world, you all refer back to those football days and practices where coach didn't allow you to be late, or you were punished for not doing something, that you're supposed to be doing. Like a job, like no call, no show, you get fired. So if you go to practice and you don't come to practice, you don't tell you that practice, there's a consequence for that. It's something that go happen. You know what I'm saying? So I want my kid to understand that football is like a lot like life. It's my job to help guide them to that. Be prepared for life after football. But as far as now that I'll be going against those guys, man, I'm a competitor. I'm gonna tell you, and they'll tell you, I want to win because too much time spent on preparing for games to go out there and lose. I'm going to make sure that my team is well coached, very detailed, very confident when they're out there playing. But that falls on me and my staff of relaying that message to them guys throughout the week. Being very detailed as we want from them, what we expect from them, off the field and on the field. I watched coaches do it, Bill Deere, Doreen McCain, of how they took school very important for our players. I mean, Coach McCain, if a kid got a C-, it's a consequence. He didn't have those issues because he made it known that, hey, that's unacceptable. So I'm going to carry the same to my program. The grades come first, student, athlete, and they will go from there. So I look forward to getting in the mix. And my method is making our conference competitive again. I mean, people say we had the worst conference in the 757. That's been said numerous years. And I always want to debate that because I play in this district. I coached in it, and I know what it is. And now we have myself, Coach Sawyer, Coach McCain, Churchland, are now 4 programs I feel like is going to be able to compete in this district and be competitive each week now, So that's my main focus, getting back to being competitive each week and winning games. That's the main focus.
He's the new CEO, if you will, head football coach of the Booker T. Washington Bookers. You see the helmet right there. Hopes to be lighting up the scoreboard there in Norfolk at Cal Davidson Field. As
nice field.
Because it's new. Yeah. You like that, don't you?
I got a brand new field, brand new facility, and we're going to use it.
There you go. He's getting ready to get the Bookers to snap their losing skid and turn things around. Mike Privott, the former D coordinator of the state champion Maury Commodores and an all-area standout linebacker for the Lake Taylor Titans. Thank you so much for the time. All the best to you. Happy holidays, and look forward to what's in store for the Fighting Bookers of BTW.
We appreciate it. Thanks for your time. See you guys this matter of fact, during the season, come by, see me, and I'll make sure you be okay on the sidelines, man.
That's right. You take care of us. Make sure we get some good food and a good spread and have a good time. Mike Privott, our guest here, the new head football coach of the Bookers of Booker T. Washington. We got more coming your way. Don't touch that dial. It is 757 Sports Talk, and you're watching with us right here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Okay, here with Lansing head basketball coach Dwight Robinson as Eagles win at 71-41 over Kempsville to move to, I believe it's 8-0 on the season, Coach. Yeah. You guys are playing quite well. You've been winning every game I think you've seen so far by double figures, and Kempsville was within a couple possessions. You hit him with a 14-0 burst in the second quarter. That little segment for about 4 to 5 minutes is really what your team is capable of, isn't it?
Yeah, when we're sharing the ball, and we got 4 guys right at double figures. So we got guys that can put it in the hole, and when we're playing defense, that's the biggest thing. Now I think that's what changed the whole complexion of the game. We really started digging in, closing out, and then cleaning the glass. We weren't giving any shots. Got in transition and, got some easy baskets. And, then we kind of pulled away.
Feels like an added year of maturity and experience for all your mainstays that have returned, led by the 2 sophomores that are very talented, your son, Damian Robinson, Rashad Shaw, but also your big guy in the middle there, and Alon Walker, Josiah Law, who's your slashing wing. And then at the guard spot, quietly tonight, Chase Johnson has about 8 assists for you. He's a player that I think is another X-factor, underrated player because Dame and Shaw do so much for you guys.
Yeah, I think, he does so many things that people just don't know. Like, he's our best on-ball defender. Mm-hmm. He can run the point. He can be off the ball and knock down 3 balls. I think he's shooting about 45% or something like that from the arc right now. And so quietly, he's having a really good year. But we knew he was going to have a good year before the year even started.
Yeah, and it feels like you have multiple ball handlers, whereas last year you kind of depended on Dame at times or other people that have to do certain things. Him, Shaw, Chase can do it for you. And it feels like if you were to take the quote-unquote video game sliders, all your guys have gotten incrementally better in certain areas, be it shooting, be it defensively. What's kind of your mood of the team right now? Being 8-0, you're almost at the halfway point, as crazy as it is to say here in the middle to end of December. What's your gauge of what this team's ceiling can be?
Yeah, we still got a long ways to go. Okay. Got a long ways to go. We got to clean up a lot of stuff. We have lapses out there, and sometimes we're not running our offense all the time with precision. But when we're running and we're really locking in and taking care of every possession defensively, we're pretty good. But we're not doing it for 32 minutes right now. We'll have 16 really good minutes, come out flat second half, and, don't put it away and, those kind of things. But, overall, where we're at in the process, we're fine where we are in the process. If we're the best right now, then we're not going to be very good at the end.
No doubt.
And so we're still working on some things offensively and defensively. And I think we got a chance to be pretty good.
Sure, it does feel like a lot of things are coming easier for your guys at this stage compared to a year ago. And with what's upcoming with your out-of-district games and the holiday tournament breaks and so forth, what are you wanting to see? It feels like you're getting more rest for your main guys to get that bench built here in the second part of the season.
Yeah, so the key right now is to make sure that our 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th guy, they're getting quality reps. Yeah. Put them in game time situations so that when we get further down the line in end of January and February, they're ready to go. They're ready for playoff time. We got a pretty heavy slate coming up here. Tomorrow we got Nazareth River, and we go down to Charlotte. We got Independence and Queens Grant. We come back, we get Green Run, we get Petersburg, we get Patriot. So it's a gauntlet coming up. Yeah. Starting tomorrow. And so we'll see what we're made of, and but I like our guys.
Yeah, and lastly, with those teams that are all tournament teams like yourself, getting to the state Final Four from a year ago with the pieces that did come back, the Dames, the Shaws, the Walkers, the Laws, and so forth, was there kind of that mood of this is our time to go get to the championship game this year? Is that, it's so far off come March, but has that kind of been their mindset?
I think every year we say state championship, and so it's no different. Probably the difference is we have almost everybody back from that team, and we still only have one senior. And so we were super young last year, and I don't know that we always knew how to adjust on the fly in a big crowd, in a big setting. And I think this year we kind of know who our leaders are. We kind of know, they've been there, done it a little bit. It doesn't guarantee us anything, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with our leadership and where we're headed.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here!
We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in no phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Well, 50% of us is better than none, and my cohort is stuck in basketball practice / weightlifting. But I am so delighted to be joined by a special guest who's been with us many times before, and glad to have him with us to talk about the college football playoff. He is the one and only award-winning David Glenn from David Glenn Show. You can find it on the North Carolina Sports Network, ncsportsnetwork.com, as we chat about everything college football related. David, thanks so much for stopping by. Happy holidays to you. It's a fun time of year as we've got the CFP underway. College basketball's in full swing with some neat games, and I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts from last night's Alabama-Oklahoma game, because while I hated the fact we had two teams from the same conference in Alabama and OU, now in the SEC, in the opening round, that was a really darn entertaining game. I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Yeah, Matthew, it's great to be with you as always. I do love this time of year. College football overlapping with college basketball, plus a lot of other things, obviously, beyond the college sports world. I did watch that game. I thought it was fun to see Brent Venables take his Oklahoma program to that kind of a stage for the first time in his time as a head coach, after we got to know him pretty well during his time as a Clemson defensive coordinator for Dabo Swinney. So that was a peak for that program on his watch. And, of course, Kalen DeBoer having to follow that Nick Saban guy at Alabama. Even when you have a really good season, the expectations are higher. So he had to get the Crimson Tide at least into this playoff, and now he has a victory to show for it in impressive fashion, right? I mean, games in Norman, Oklahoma, Sooners are up 17-0. I wonder how many people tuned out only to be surprised by the final score. So, yeah, it's a heck of a starting point for this second year of the 12-team college football playoff format.
Yeah, the folks that tuned out were the same ones that did the night before with the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams, when that 16-point lead got squandered and a 2-point conversion that looked like it was not going to count, ended up counting it. But I'm curious from your perspective, David. I mean, I was one that was a little bit on the fence about Alabama a few weeks ago getting in altogether because, yeah, you get to the SEC championship. Yeah, you have a road win over Georgia. Yeah, your resume, who you've played, body work says you belong, but they did not look that good against Georgia in the SEC rematch for the championship game. And in the first half, they didn't look like they belonged. It looked like maybe Notre Dame belonged more in there. But Ty Simpson, the running game with Daniel Hill, they made adjustments and corrections. And now as they move forward here into this matchup with Indiana in the Rose Bowl, this is a tantalizing Rose Bowl for the folks there. I mean, we're so used to years being a Big Ten, Pac-12, but now you have this matchup here of Bama versus the Heisman winner and Fernando Mendoza and undefeated Indiana. It sets up a little bit like last year, doesn't it? Where, remember, Oregon was the team to beat. They took on Ohio State, coming off that loss to Michigan. They had that win early in the round, against Tennessee. But it's like, oh my goodness, this is a trap spot for Indiana. And a lot of folks are saying, though, Indiana's the team to beat the 1 seed. This is a very winnable game for Bama. What says you?
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see. Remember, this is only year 2 of our current format. And one of the things that happened last year, as you just referred to, was that the 5, 6, and 7, and 8 seeds, which, of course, were home on this opening weekend, not only did they all win at home, they all won their second game against the 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed. So we ended up with a Final Four of a 5, 6, 7, 8 seed. And remember, the championship game was 8 seed Ohio State against 7 seed Notre Dame. I do not think we're going to have that again this season. We'll see if the other 3 home teams can win here on the opening weekend. But I'll say this about the matchup you just mentioned there, Alabama-Indiana. Curt Cignetti is a guy that y'all got to know a little bit better during his time at James Madison. We got to know better. He was the head coach at Elon University here in North Carolina. That guy has put together, no matter how this season ends, one of the greatest 2-year starting stretches in the history of college football. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. The long story short is that if you looked at 100+ years of Indiana football, a school, of course, far more well-known for Bob Knight and men's basketball national championships, maybe the 2 best seasons in the history of the school are last year and this year under a brand new coach. That is just, Indiana rarely posts a winning record in conference play in the Big Ten. And I mean, going back to before all of us were born. And yet here he is, college football playoff 2 years in a row, number 1 seed this time, Big Ten champions for, I think, the second time in Indiana football history. It is as good a story as we have seen in college football in recent years. And it's been fun to watch a guy that we've both gotten to know a little bit, kind of behind the scenes, pulling the reins behind the curtains.
Yeah, let me ask you to follow up on that before I bring in my cohort, Coach Sheng, who I now see is done with basketball practice and weightlifting, to ask you some questions too here, David. We'll go through the other first-round matchups we have today. What Cignetti's doing is remarkable. You just touched on it. You know about his father, Frank Cignetti, being an old coach as well. But he comes in from JMU, and a lot of folks said he's not going to be able to upset the apple cart, if you will. But he brought in some players from JMU, like a Kalon Black, who was a running back from our area in Virginia Beach and Salem High, some other transfers that were players that were, the higher end FCS, lower end FBS tier prospect, and he gets Mendoza from Cal. Is he just smarter than everybody else in the room right now? I mean, it feels like he is. He's got that cockiness and edge to him, but it's looking like it. The results are speaking for themselves.
I think he is smarter than most people in the room. That's how you win at a place like Elon, which is not anything close to an FCS juggernaut. They don't have a lot of top 25 FCS seasons at Elon, and yet he got that done. You don't have a lot of playoff years at Elon. He got that done. So this has been a theme through multiple coaching stops, and I think you circled part of his genius there. Remember, if you can bring, I'll put it this way, the easiest players to evaluate, for whether it's high schools, junior colleges, major college transfer portal, any of us is going to be a better judge of talent if we've been coaching that young man for a year or 2 or 3, right? So when he brings his best JMU players or several of them to Indiana, the benefit is twofold. One, you're going to make far fewer evaluation mistakes. If you don't know your own guys, you don't know how to evaluate talent, and he certainly knows how to evaluate talent. But 2, they help build your culture. It's like hitting the ground with a running start because you have a segment of assistant coaches and a portion of your roster, even if a small percentage, that you don't have to explain how you like things done. You don't have to really communicate your principles every single day to those folks, and they help forward your agenda just because they're so familiar with you from your time at JMU. So he's not the only coach who's succeeded in part by bringing guys with him, coaches and players from his previous school. But I do think it's been one of the building blocks for his success with the Hoosiers.
No doubt about it. We're talking with David Glenn of the David Glenn Show, NC Sports Network. Give him a follow. Check it out online here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. In fact, Signetti's old school, James Madison, in action later today in Eugene against the 5th-seeded Oregon Ducks. Winner gets Texas Tech. We know Alabama will play Indiana. Georgia awaits the winner of Tulane, Ole Miss minus Lane Kiffin. And Ohio State, the defending national champs, try to bounce back from that loss to Indiana in the Big Ten Championship. They await the winner of Miami, Texas A&M. As I bring back in my cohort now, the coach Ed Young. Good to see hoops practice is done. Weightlifting too. And David, he's still a little salty about no fighting Irish in this field right now, aren't you, Ed? Very salty about that, aren't you?
I can't say what I need to say because David don't know me, and I don't want him to think I'm a bad dude.
Hey, Coach, I'm an Irish Catholic boy from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I have enough relatives and childhood friends who have bombarded me because they know I work in the sports media. I'm glad I wasn't on that committee, or I might have been just totally disenfranchised by my family and friends because of that committee decision.
Well, then there must have been enough, how can I say it, Italian language given when Notre Dame wasn't in there, let alone a little bit of the Catholic, bless you, Father, for I'm about to sin. They got started. But, you know, I Matt got on me because I didn't scream and holler when Notre Dame didn't get in, because I already saw when they decided to not put BYU in the tournament because they got smashed in the championship game. But Alabama, who looked horrible in the championship game, they got a pass because they said, well, we're not going to let the championship game affect you. What you did to BYU. Then they rearranged the standings so that Notre Dame, who was ahead of Miami the whole time, got behind Miami without playing a game. So I already knew Notre Dame, you're getting screwed. I believed Alabama shouldn't have been in. But now this morning I've been told to shut up because Alabama smacked Oklahoma, and some people think they're going to beat Indiana. That has no bearing on it. I just think the way it's set up, David, and everybody has done this, and I do want to hear I'm sorry for getting in late, but hear your opinion on this. The way it's set up to play for a national championship, and I know Nick Saban came out and said JMU has no business being in the tournament, and I want to say to Nick Saban, yes, they do. Why? They won their conference, and they have a heck of a record. And Matt doesn't agree with me either. I think you need to give some of the lower conference champions a chance to play for a national title. Because what is the championship series if a champion can't be in it? Now, Mid-America Conference, your champion will lost 5-6 games. No, they can't come in this. But I had no problem with Tulane, no problem with JMU. Do I think Notre Dame right now can suit up and beat JMU today or Tulane? Yes, but they're not in it. I just don't. It needs fixed again. Even though they just did it, I think that part needs fixed. So I'm going to ask you in a second to go over that. And then the Notre Dame thing that makes me mad about Notre Dame is their crybaby attitude about it. We're not going to the bowl, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I say to Notre Dame, go to the bowl. You would have played either maybe Michigan or Texas, heck of a game. Prove that you belong. Number two, get in a conference. You can't be independent forever. That's 1970s. It doesn't work today. I think it hurts them being an independent. But I'm just going to stop on those 2 points right there, David. What do you think about the process and then Notre Dame's situation?
Yeah, I thought Notre Dame's best complaint was that the committee acted very unprofessionally by essentially setting up the Fighting Irish just to have the rug pulled out from under them at the end. There is no world where the Irish should have been over the Hurricanes week after week after week after week. Same record, right? We knew all along the Hurricanes beat the Irish head-to-head. And then at the very end, in the only rankings that actually matter, they flip-flop, even though neither lost, neither won a big game, neither even played on that final weekend. That's unprofessional. That's inappropriate. That is not acceptable. I hope the committee learned a lesson along those lines. You could debate which two teams belonged in out of those last four: BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami. 4 teams, 2 spots, 4 very good resumes. It depends on how much do you value biggest wins? How much do you value the worst losses? How much do you value head-to-head, right? Those kind of subjective things are not going to go away. And to your other point, I think a lot of college football fans learned this year. I heard it said so many times that it's the 4 highest ranked Power 4 champions and then the highest ranked champion from the group of 6. Well, that's not the way the rules work. It's simply the 5 highest ranked conference champions. So all along we knew the SEC champ would get in, the Big Ten champ would get in, the Big 12 champ would get in, but the ACC champion ended up being 8-5 Duke. Well, 8-5 Duke is going to be in jeopardy of being ranked behind maybe multiple other conference champions, as it turned out to be, right? I don't think anybody argued when Tulane got in over Duke, because Tulane actually beat Duke on the field head-to-head during the regular season, so that was easy. But that was the 4th highest ranked conference champion. So then it comes down to JMU and Duke. And who's that 5th highest ranked conference champion going to be under the current rules? It's the 12-1, and coaches know the difficulty of going 12-1 in any league versus 8-5. And I know what Duke's argument was. Duke's argument was JMU only played 1 Power 4 opponent, and the Dukes lost to Louisville by a couple of touchdowns. That's the Duke argument. But the JMU argument is, yeah, but Duke, you played 13 games, and maybe 6 of them were against better opponents, and you went like 3-3. I mean, you lost to UConn, right? You lost to Tulane of the group of 6. So 12-1 is, if the SEC champion went 8-5, the SEC champion would probably get left out. Some people might not believe that because the SEC seems to rule the college football kingdom. But those were some of my thoughts about how all this unfolded. And remember, all these things are going to come back into play as all these powerful figures decide what the next version of this college football playoff is going to look like and what rules are we going to play by when it comes to conference champions versus those at-large bids.
David, let me ask you to follow that up on that point. There's a lot of talk about the expansion of this tournament. Will it go to now 16 teams, or even I'll put up on the screen this bracket that's been circulating on social media. You might have seen it. It's the Dream 20 bracket, where they have what would look like if you had an 8-team buy-in with Virginia, Vandy, Utah, Michigan, Texas, Tulane, Arizona, USC to get into the rest of the field there. What's your view of it? And then to kind of also throw into the mix here, what's the view of the ACC right now? Because you mentioned it, the SEC, the Big Ten, they're the behemoths. The Big 12, the ACC, even if you want to throw in the AAC, they're not on the same level, at least on the committee's eyes. Does the ACC look any worse? Did the committee save their tails by Miami getting in, as opposed to if UVA had won or Duke getting in here? What's your view of it? And is the ACC going to fix this situation now, where they have next year a team like Miami or someone of that caliber, let's say it's Clemson, has a couple of losses, but because of their criteria, they don't get in the championship game? What's your view of the whole picture there?
Yeah, well, the ACC's number one problem for a long time has been the quality of its football product, which is tied to the value of its TV deals, which is tied to how many people watch ACC football games. So the league dodged a bullet when Miami got that last at-large invitation, because it's one thing to miss the old 4-team version of a college football playoff. Lots of leagues miss the smaller playoff. Now that it's 12, to be left out entirely, to have Duke left out as the conference champion, and if Miami had just fallen one rung down the ladder, the Hurricanes would have been left out too. That would have been the low point of ACC football in this decade plus that we've had a playoff format of one kind or another. Moving forward, I think here's the delicate nature of the arguments behind closed doors. The Big Ten and the SEC know they have the most money, know they have the most influence, know they have the best TV deals, know they have the best collection of schools that just demand big TV eyeballs in large numbers, and they want to have it their way. And they've even run up the flagpole, the Big Ten and the SEC getting a certain, let's say it's a 16-team playoff. They want the Big Ten and the SEC to have multiple guaranteed bids every year, and they want the ACC and the Big 12 to be willing to accept a smaller number of guaranteed bids, and then the group of 6 might get whatever. The ACC doesn't want to sign up for a format where just before we even know what any team's resumes look like, the Big 10 and the SEC automatically get more bids. The Big 12 doesn't want that either. So I think there's more consensus for, hey, if you want to crown conference champions and let them in, come up with a rule, even in a new 16-team format, come up with a rule similar to the one we have now. How many of the highest-ranked conference champions are going to get in? Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be 5? Is it going to be 6 in this new format? And then rather than just guaranteeing bids by league, you either trust a committee to give out those at-large assignments after looking at an individual team's resume every year, or if you don't trust the committee, well, then you're going to give out guaranteed bids per league. But it's going to be tough for the Big 10 and the SEC to get everybody else to agree to a format where every single year before we even see a game played, the Big 10 and the SEC are protected in ways that nobody else gets protected. That's why it's hard to predict what this the size is hard to predict, but I think the rules are even harder to predict.
Yeah, great points. Ed?
Well, again, David, I just think the committee is not 100% altogether either. And you've got people in that room pushing SEC. Hey, America wants to see our number 3, number 4, number 5 place team before they want a ACC number 1 or 2. And that kind of talk needs to be shut up, because I'm looking at, I'm a coach. Okay, I'm not a football coach, basketball coach. I want to play for something. The way the football playoffs are set up, pretty much, unless you're in those conferences, and you just said ACC, Big 12, be careful, you may not get something. Everybody else can forget it. You might as well have your own little national championship, because very rarely are you going to be put in. Yes, maybe JMU is going to get beat by 30 to Oregon today, I guess. Who knows? But they deserve to have a seat at that table to be able to play for it at the very least. Or why is winning their championship any problem? And then people said, well, they don't play strong schedule. Well, why would they have to go out and play all the top SEC teams in their non-conference schedule? Nobody does that. You play the game with what's dealt. The cards were dealt to you. That's just the way I look at it. I just think that it's fixed, but it's not fixed. And
I don't think we're going to get to the point where, let's say, 10 conference champions get automatic bids.
No.
And only 6 get at-large bids. Why won't we get to that? Even though in that scenario, I mean, one of the most beautiful sporting events in the history of the world, in my opinion, is the NCAA men's basketball tournament. And part of the beauty of it is that truly every team that even if you had a mediocre to bad regular season, you go to your conference tournament. The rules are a little different now because not everybody's invited to the conference tournament, but you get the principle. If you win that conference tournament, you can make up for 4 months of misery and punch that Cinderella ticket to the big dance. And even if you don't do anything there, you knew going to that conference tournament you had a chance. And there's a beauty to that. And it's harder to do that in football, obviously. And the Big Ten and the SEC, wielding their power, are never going to agree to a system where each of the 10 conference champions gets a bid. So it's going to be a compromise of some kind. And the debate is going to be, how many conference champions get in? Is it the 5 highest ranked? Is it the 6 highest ranked? They're never going to go much deeper than that, I don't think. But if you take the top 6 conference champions, let's say, in a 16-team format, that champion of the Sun Belt does have a chance. That champion of the American or the Mountain West Conference does have a chance. They're just going to have to schedule up in the non-conference, and they're going to, of course, have to post a really pretty record. But I don't think we're going to get to the point where we have every conference champion guaranteed to get a bid. Down the road, who knows what we're going to have? I mean, there's so many people predicting 5 years from now, the year 2030. Heck, it's almost 2026 as we speak. So it's four or so years down the road. There are people who believe that college sports is going to go through another realignment period, and there's going to be a college football super league, and however many teams, 60 are in that league, just hypothetically, and they're going to have their own championship. And then there's going to be another championship format for whoever was not invited to that Super League. So that would allow for every conference champion to get a bid to that sort of second tier championship if it comes to that. But, it's hard to predict, what's going to happen tomorrow sometimes or later today, much less what's going to happen 5 years down the road.
Final one from me, David, and I'll let Ed finish up with you, and we'll also give the folks a chance to find out how they can find your program. I'm sure Ed will want to touch basketball with you to close things up here. But we look at the matchups today. I feel like the only one that's going to be really competitive to the wire will be that Miami-Texas A&M game. And if the Hurricanes win it, that will bring back some great memories of that memorable Ohio State-Miami game with Willis McGahee and Maurice Claret that the Buckeyes won. I look at this bracket, though, David, and I feel like the team that's got the best path, as wild as this sounds, is Oregon. I know they had to see Texas Tech with their rugged defense and Jacob Rodriguez, the Bednarik Award winner at linebacker. But I feel like Oregon's better positioned this year than they were last year, and they had a better team last year. What do you feel, and who ultimately wins this thing if you have a team?
Yeah, today's games, first, I'm looking at Miami of the ACC, not just because I cover that league so closely, but because I think it will be the best matchup of the day. One thing to remember about Texas A&M, although the Aggies are at home, so they'll have, close to 100,000 people on their side, the Aggies did not play the 4 highest-ranked teams in the SEC. They dodged Alabama, they dodged Georgia, they dodged Ole Miss, they dodged Oklahoma. So the Aggies still went 11-1. I don't want to take anything away from them. Their coach, Mike Elko, we got to know during his 2 years at Duke. He's the real deal. But the Aggies lost their most recent game to Texas, and they can be up and down offensively. So I'm fascinated to see whether Miami can kind of carry the ACC flag. But I don't think, remember I mentioned earlier, our Final Four a year ago were the 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds. I don't think we're headed for that this year. I don't think A&M or Miami or Alabama or Oklahoma, to choose last night's team, I don't think any of them is making a run to the national championship game. I think it starts with Indiana and Ohio State. It continues with teams like Oregon, but I'll be surprised if we don't see any of the Final Four, the top 4 in the Final Four, because I think those very top teams this year, starting with the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes, but also including the Ducks, I think they're harder to beat than the top 4 that we had a year ago.
Yeah, fair assessment. It might have been a good year for the 4-team playoff, the old 4-team format, Ed.
Yeah, it can be. If time is running short, I'm going to have to ditch a couple of my questions and jump right to hoops, David. I know you're doing a lot with the football right now, but maybe keeping a side eye on the hoop action, especially in the ACC. I told Matt at the beginning of the season I had Louisville as a team to watch in the Final Four. Am I crazy? Give us some talk about ACC basketball.
You are not crazy, Coach, at least not in this context. You may be crazy in others, I'm not sure. But you are right about Louisville. I'll put it this way. There are 4 teams that have really, in the non-conference portion of the schedule, set themselves apart. We all knew Duke was going to be good. Devils are great again. And their big guy, Cam Boozer, son of the old Carlos Boozer, Duke big fella, he's not only a candidate for ACC Player of the Year, he's a candidate for National Player of the Year. But Louisville has a freshman point guard named Michael Brown Jr. He's the real deal. He's surrounded by a lot of talent. Pat Kelsey has energized that program. Carolina has looked really good in its start. They have another good one today against Ohio State. And I'd say the Virginia Cavaliers from the Commonwealth that you guys are broadcasting from. I think Coach Ryan Odom in year 1, thanks to a couple of European imports who are probably his 2 best big guys, I think the Cavaliers have certified themselves as a team that looks NCAA tournament worthy. And I think the league is deep even beyond those 4 that I just mentioned. But those Louisville Cardinals are not going away, man. That's a good coach. It's a talented roster. They tapped the international pipeline along with that prep All-American Brown at point guard. So it's going to be a better league than the one that got only 4 or 5 NCAA tournament bids in recent years, which now that the ACC is an 18-team league, 4 bids is an embarrassingly low number. It's a league that used to get 6 of their 9 members into the NCAA tournament. So now it's twice the size as a league, but it only got 4 or 5 in. I think that number is going to be higher this year. Who emerges from the middle of the pack is harder to predict, but I don't think Duke, Louisville, UNC, or UVA are going to go away.
Yeah, you saw how much Louisville missed Markel Brown not having him against Tennessee, but Ed's convinced me, David, they're really, really good. It's a darn good basketball team. And Virginia, that big win over Texas by 19 was huge. They have Maryland today, which is a pivotal game. My Final Four was just the other day. I told folks I like Michigan, Iowa State, Arizona, and UConn, but there are some ACC teams that can certainly thrust their way into the conversation. Before we let you run, we thank you so much. We'll get you back on, I'm sure, as the hoop season starts to heat up here in January, February, closer to March. Tell the folks how they can find the David Glenn Show and interact with your community.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. The easiest thing to remember is just the name of our website, ncsportsnetwork.com. Of course, that's just shortening North Carolina to NC, ncsportsnetwork.com. We make it real easy. If you want to check out the video stuff on the YouTube channel, you click the word watch. If you like the podcast on-demand audio stuff, you click the word listen. And if you like articles and just other options from our website, you click the word read. So it all starts there. It's kind of our grand central station, ncsportsnetwork.com.
They do a tremendous job. And our neighboring Tar Heel State, David Glenn of the ncsportsnetwork.com, the David Glenn Show. Have a great holiday, my friend. I'm sure we'll talk with you in 2026.
Right back at you, Matt. Coach, always fun to be with you guys. Take care.
Take care, David.
That is David Glenn of the David Glenn Show with us here on 757 Sports Talk. More coming your way. We'll take a timeout. We got NFL picks to close out the show, too. You're watching Cova Sports TV.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloitte, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
I mean, there are a lot of older gentlemen with beards playing basketball in college right now. There are. So you know, the one that's crazy is the guy comes in and he's waving to his kids up in the seats. And you're like, wait a minute, the guy got 2 kids. He's still playing college basketball. Crazy thing, he's using NIL for his first wife's alimony. And now he's still playing college basketball. Are we nuts? So now you have these kind of games and these kind of scores. That team is really old. My guess is, again, we're probably the youngest team in the SEC. We'll be one of the 3 youngest teams in the SEC. those teams are old. Last year, every team was old in our league. They were old. And so now you're going to have those kind of things. And you're also going to have a team like a Fresno beat somebody because they got all grad students, seniors, and their average age is 25. And your average age is 19 or 20.
We got a lot of casual personalities on our team. We don't have people that are revved up and ready to go. I mean, I had one of the kids come to me, oh, I'm tough. I said, you're not in the top 50 of the toughest players I've coached. And we got all high major games from here on out. Kindergarten's over.
We are allowing no frustration in this game. You're not giving it to us. You got to go take it. We got to go take it. We're going to go take it. Let's stand up and go.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Frustrated. Mark Pope, Kentucky. John Calipari, who once coached at Kentucky, talking about guys that are old with beards and kids. And Will Wade, who's never shot it, drop a couple expletives and tell you the kindergarten's over. No time for kindergarten. Well, Edward, kindergarten may be over. It very well may be over. But you know me. I am just a big kid at heart. Kindergarten's never over in my world. It's going to continue until the end of time in my world. You know how I operate.
It doesn't. It don't. Again, you said.
Yep. There you go.
This is why we have 6 people watching our shows.
No, we got more than 6. We got 2,006.
You and your lollipop. Now, I understand you set records in kindergarten. You stole the most cookies from kids, most nap time in your 8 years in kindergarten. Okay, I get all that. But you got to let that go at some point. And the lollipop just destroyed everything. I mean, it just.
It's a great song.
I don't know what you're doing. Like you're making my skin crawl. I mean, I'm
okay,
like,
James Franklin. Well, we don't have that clip anymore. He's at Virginia Tech now, and his skin's no longer crawling. But a lot going on this particular Saturday. We played a little while ago the clip last night with Dwight Robinson of Lansdowne, whose team got themselves a nice win over the Kempsville Chiefs. They're in action today in the Woodside Way Hoopfest. There's now 5 games, not 6. The first one got scratched. You see the matchups on the screen there. Starting off at 1:30, it'll be Maury and Kellum. 3 o'clock, Bethel versus Princess Anne. 4:30, Lake Taylor, John Marshall. 6 o'clock, those undefeated 8-0 Lansdowne Eagles take on the Nansemond River Warriors, your former school, who's having a nice start to the season. And then it's number 1 versus number 3 in Class 5. Massaponax taking on Woodside. Steph Welsh's Wolverines. You know, they don't have maybe as much star power, known commodity star power as a year ago with Silas Barksdale, who's at UVA, and now with Kellen Morrison over at Denby, the point guard. You wonder about them a little bit, but they still have Donnell Deuce Jarrett, and they have a lot of talented underclassmen on that team taking on Massaponax. We've dubbed number 1 in the state. Number 2 in the state we've got is Albemarle, who had a whale of a game with New Kent the other day. It was 70 all. They get up 78-70. Then they get tied up at 78, and they finish the last 8 points against New Kent, 86-78. You can tell folks about your entertaining week with the Smithfield Packers as you won a nail biter coming from behind with about 3 minutes to play. It looked like you were dead in the water against Tabb and won, and you lost a nail biter coming from behind and just fell short against the Grafton Clippers minus a couple of your key guys. But should be a fun event for this one today over at Woodside. And to put on the screen also, you have games coming up on Monday and Tuesday over at Bethel. That is part of the Allen Iverson Showcase. That's at Bethel High School Monday. You got Edison Churchland, Atlee defending Class 4 champs against those Grafton Clippers I just mentioned. West Springfield from Class 6 taking on the host school in Bethel. That same host school will be in action to close things out on Tuesday night against Lakeland. Before that, though, Massaponax and Hampton. That's a showdown. Freedom taking on Lake Taylor, Maury, Kickitan, Lafayette, Norview, and it starts at 12 noon on Tuesday with Friendship Prep against Veritas Collegiate.
Yeah, I'm looking at some great basketball today. The Woodside Showcase right there, you got some really talented teams that I think come playoff time will make some runs. Lansdowne especially. The river can be there. Woodside, as you said, not great name power, but they're still not missing a beat in terms of being a multi-state championship type program. Lake Taylor, which I believe will be there for the 3A crown, though I think everybody's playing for second place behind Petersburg right now, but they're still going to be there. So, and then in the Allen Iverson Classic always has some great matchups and great talent in there. So it'd be some great basketball to get out and see. And now that high school football is, putting the equipment away, and now we can put some eyes on high school basketball.
Yeah, Massaponack's involved in both of those showcases, taking on Hampton on Tuesday and then in action today against Woodside. So getting a couple of the Peninsula District heavyweights for Aaron McFarland, former C&U standout, leading the way for the Panthers there. So interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, Matt, I want to also bring up, you mentioned Albemarle playing New Kent. I'm going to tell people, unfortunately, we had an up-close encounter with New Kent. They kicked off by 23 or something like that. Sometimes I thought it was more. Very aggressive team. They press extremely well. They can score from multiple positions. My inexperience right now, our inexperience at Smithfield is what's hurting us. We did well against their press in terms of the second and third level. Normally, it's the first level that you have that situation of getting beat, and that's where they got us on there. But New Kent is a legit team in 3A. They need to be looked at hard. They got shooters. They got some guys off the bench. I didn't think they'd be quite as good this year as they were last year. And we saw them last year. They were super. I'm not so sure they might be a tad better even this year. So they're a team to watch.
If you give me a quick moment while you keep talking here, I will pull up our latest Virginia Preps top 10s that you can critique and tell me what I've got wrong.
Okay, that would be good. While you're doing that, Smithfield, we did have a great game with Tabb.
Heck of a comeback.
They had us by 7 points with 2 minutes to go, and I thought, oh boy, this is it. But we put one heck of a comeback and actually took a lead and did a lot of things great. And I kind of blacked out. I didn't even know we had a lead late. Until one of my assistants said, "Coach, you think we should go into delay game?" And I go, "It'd be nice if we had a lead." Coach, we're up.
Can I shout out the young man? I think it was it Jordan Macalino had the go ahead three for you for a minute 47 to play.
Yeah, Jordan hit a couple big threes in that game for us. Tim Giles did a pretty good job at the point. We've been struggling with him between his scoring. He's our leading scorer, but when your point guard's your leading scorer, that could be problems otherwise. And he was having turnover issues, but he had a great game against Tabb. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he didn't play the last game against Grafton. Unfortunately, 3 of our starters were out, and that was not a good way to go into a Grafton team that's not extremely strong, but very, very capable. They led the whole game, and then all of a sudden, here we go again. We put one well of a comeback on. We get within 1 point 3 different times under 50 seconds, and each time we turned the ball over. The one time we made a defensive mess up, we had fouled a driver instead of weak side help being there. So we were right there, but our inexperience shows at the wrong time. But, I'm pleased with our guys. We're 2 and 3, but we were in those games, except New Kent, we're in them. The mistakes they're making, we can correct them. We spent a lot of time today really break down on defense because we got this War Hill team. War Hill's 5-0. They're ranked also. Paul Hall has done a tremendous job. And when you watch them on film, and I've seen every one of their games, every possession, they don't wow you, at least on film. They got 4 guys, double-figure scores. They got a point guard who's 5'11", is a leading rebounder with 9 a game. They take advantage of your dumbness on the court. It's exactly what I told our players. When you make mistakes against War Hill, they will turn it into points. You just have to understand they're 2 very different teams, New Kent and War Hill, in our league. And we started a year off with Lafayette, who was preseason number 1. So we're up against it, but like I said, it's going to take a little time. We got going through a lot of growing pains, and I just found out today because of injury, sickness, I will be down to 9 players on Tuesday with 3, possibly 4 starters out against War Hill. So we brought up 2 JV kids today and threw them in the mix. And, it's we're weathering the storm as best we can. I'm not making excuses, but when you have your three best defenders in street clothes, you're in trouble. And that's
Don't
what we
worry.
have.
Paul Hall doesn't watch the show. He won't know until Tuesday. It's okay.
It doesn't matter. Paul's going to run it up on us anyway. See, he's a heck of a friend. He's just a heck of a friend.
Heck of a friend. Okay. Class 6, that was going into the week. Lansdowne, Westfield, Patriot, Potomac. Now, Potomac took a loss. They took an L. They got beat by Garfield and friends, who beat them for the first time in eons, Ed. On Tuesday, they won that matchup over – it was Monday or Tuesday? Yes, Tuesday, 73-61. Jason Bell's team ended a 13-game losing streak in the series with Potomac. First win over them since 2019. It's their best start since 2012-13. Remember when Andy Gray coached them then. So they're going to move ahead of Potomac coming up. You got LC Bird in there. You got Oscar Smith, South County, Yorktown, George Marshall to close it out. Dropping out were Woodson and South Lakes, your buddies Craig and Desmond, who have certainly graduated a lot of key pieces. Hayfield dropped out as well. Your honorable mentions on the screen there. Class 6, any commentary, or are you going to leave that alone?
I'm not going to mess, I think, with the 6A. Lansdowne seems to be in that driver's seat now, but there's going to be you got to watch out for Garfield. Watch out for the Cats.
Red Wolves.
Cats. Here they
changed their nickname from Indians to Red Wolves a couple years ago.
Yeah, it should be the Cats. And if anybody should be the Cats, it should have been Garfield.
I got you with lasagna. Massaponax is number 1. That could change after today. By the way, Woodside's won more than one game. This was going into the 16th, folks, so I don't need to hear a whole bunch of comments. Oh, my gosh, I got records wrong. This was going into December 16th. We know that. Albemarle 2, Nansman 4th, Norview 5th behind Keon Mitchell, who we showed you earlier on the screen. He's been balling for Norview, 33 points per game to start things off in the first 5 games. For Norview, a much better senior season than he had junior year. Kind of leveled off from freshman and sophomore to junior year, to be honest with you. But he's picked it up in a big way for Norview. Green Run, Glen Allen, Kings Fork, Highland Springs, PA. Now, PA beat Green Run head-to-head, so some might have a problem with that. And last night, Green Run's down 16 at the half against Salem, and they put on a comeback, outscoring the Sun Devils 30-10 to begin the fourth quarter. So they got a big one coming up in January against Lansdowne, and of course they're going to be going to Danville, Kenny Harris's hometown, for their holiday tournament, the defending champs there. But the team I'm watching out for here, I know you say Glen Allen, had got Fair and Friend, who's a pretty prolific scorer, but Highland Springs now, they might add a football kid or two on that team. And Reginald Tennyson's no stranger to winning championships. He won one a few years back. They're a team that's starting to pick up some steam. Got a guy in E.J. Thompson who's really putting the ball through the hole. Highland Springs starting to make a move in Class 5.
You took both teams right out of my head. Highland Springs, Glen Allen. Keep eye on them. They're not going to stay where you got them at. They're going to be moving up.
Question is, in 5C, can they overtake Albemarle to win that region? That remains to be seen. Class 4. This might be the deepest in the whole state. I've been saying it for a long time now. It is the deepest in the whole state. You got John Hanley. You got Broad Run. You got Heritage Leesburg. Denby really playing some great defense and guard play. Jay Grimes is doing a heck of a job there with that backcourt of Morrison and Kevin Parker and Nasir Johnson. E.C. Glass had a great comeback on Friday night against Liberty Christian. Tuscarora. Hampton's got the one blemish, but that was early to Denby. They're going to get better. So will Varina. Missing a couple of football guys. They'll get back now, and Caleb Weiss and Tamari Carter, we would suspect. Weiss, by the way, congrats to him, Offensive Player of the Year in the state in Class 4, as Varina just steamrolled Loudoun County on the gridiron. GW Danville took a loss to Martinsville, who we'll get to in Class 2 in a second, and Monacan, and dropping out was Henrico. War Hill, honorable mention. Now you want him in the top 10. Salem, Huguenot, Rockridge. What do you think of your division, Class 4, Sir Edward?
Well, if we can go back there, let me peruse it again from the top down. You slide down there. By the way, Zach Harold Hanley, I'm finding out, I don't know if you know this, apparently his number one player is out for the season now. Broke something, I think.
He just got hurt?
He just got hurt. I just saw that. Maybe I should put that out there, but Hanley's is very good. They're loaded, but it looks like their number one player is going to be down either.
Well, he had been dealing with an injury, but I had not heard that he was out for the season. If you're talking about Will Brondwin, but I know he had been dealing with an injury, so.
Yeah, that can leave some things topsy-turvy. Now, I do think they have enough talent to sustain being in the top 10 season goes on. Tell you right now.
But if he's out, they're not winning the championship. I would think it's going to be hard. Yeah,
that could be true too. But Hampton, one loss. That might be the only loss they're going to get for a while. Once those football kids get their basketball legs back, they'll be up there. Varina will definitely be up there. And Denby, you're right. Jay Grimes, Denby, been busting since he got that, when he took that program over. Boy, they were on some hard times. And got some players in there now that can really do it. And they gave Hampton some trouble last year.
Let me just say real quickly, because we broadcasted on the Cova Sports TV stream last year their game with Lansdowne in the Woodside Way event, and they were not ready for that matchup. I'm not saying they would beat Lansdowne now. Don't put words in my mouth here, but they'd be better equipped for a matchup like that today. And they obviously have shown it with a couple wins over the Crabbers in the last calendar year. They're better for prime time. And remember, they lost again. We saw in overtime the Woodside close. They're better for prime time now than they were before. And I'll go back to Woodside for a second. I know Steph Welsh and company feel a little disrespect, and maybe they should, that they're ranked higher in the local polls, or they're ranked below, both teams in their district, Denby and Hampton. They've got a winning streak of over 40 games in the PD. But the one thing I would caution here is when you lose so many key pieces and those other teams are getting better, I don't think it's so much a disrespect to Woodside as it is. It's an acknowledgement of how good Hampton and Denby are. In this Class 4 field, my final thought before you want to rearrange things here, there are about 8 or 9 teams that can win the Class 4 state championship. I'm not sure there are 8 or 9 teams that could do it in other divisions. You concur, or do you disagree?
Yeah, agree, because you got a couple of teams in that honorable mention, War Hill being one of them, Salem undefeated, that have a legit complaint to not be up there in that top 10 now. But like you said, as you always say, okay, if you want me to put somebody up, who am I taking out? Because those people have decent resumes too. And the thing I would say to the Woodside people is, again, don't worry about rankings. Worry about what happens on the floor. You've got some players that now have to step up into major roles. You're going to go from supporting actor to the main actor. Okay. Once that happens, they'll take off. It'll be okay. Don't worry about what's put in print. Worry about what's done out there on the court. And they'll be there too, because their experience there. Steph does a great job with his kids. He gets them to play to the level he wants. So they'll be there.
Class 3, it's Petersburg's world. Everybody else just living it. They're in the City of Palms Classic. Ed, they got to win. They play somebody else again today, I think it is. They're mighty, mighty strong. Looking forward to seeing the Crimson Wave up close and personal. We saw them in the summertime, but that group of Latrell Allman and King Baycott, Ladarius Given, Cam Claiborne, and Kelvin Anderson, about as sharp a starting five as you're going to come across in all of VA. Lake Taylor's right behind them in the rankings. Western Albemarle took a blemish to their rival, Darren Maynard's brother Greg and Albemarle. Then you have Cave Spring. You have New Kent, who we bumped up all the way to number 5 from honorable mention. Meridian, coached by Jim Smith. They lost a tough one this week to Tuscarora. Liberty Christian just lost a close one for a big lead against EC Glass. They could be tumbling out here soon, but they have talent. Skyline, Turner Ashby, Allegheny, Spotswood, and Northside. Your buddies Chad Edwards and Billy Pope off to slow starts in Class 3. So a little bit of a changing of the guard out west, and in general, it's Petersburg's world, and we're all just living in it.
Yeah, that one, Class 3A, is Class Petersburg A. And I don't want to disrespect, especially a team like Lake Taylor, because they're going to give Petersburg all they can handle. But Petersburg just has too much depth, too much talent, too much size, too much speed. I just don't see anybody taking them down.
Class 2, Nelson County, Floyd County, Graham, Martinsville at the top. Martinsville, Gary Hall really picking up steam, got that big win over GW Danville. They've got defending champs in Class 6 South Lakes and potentially defending champ Class 5 Green Run on the docket. So you talk about getting yourself tested for Martinsville. What he's doing there in year 1 is impressive. Central Woodstock, TJ Richmond, Central Wise, Page County. John Marshall's one blemish was to St. Christopher's Private School. Get a better gauge of them today, much like we'll get a better gauge of Massaponics today. And dropping out was Bruton with a couple of losses, but Bruton can still be heard from in that region when it's all said and done. But I think your champion's going to come from out west. I'm sure the TJs, the John Marshalls, even the Page counties will argue with me, but I think your champion comes from the west and probably that region 2C, where that region alone, Ed's got Nelson, it's got Floyd, it's got Martinsville. That's a darn good region in Class 2 basketball.
Could be the strength, could be out there early. Let's see what comes as the season goes on and comes up out of our area.
We put up a great stat in our top 10s that the defending state champions across the board, Ed, going into Tuesday, now emphasis, this was going into Tuesday, their combined record was just 11-10, talking about South Lakes, Green Run, Atlee, Spotswood, John Marshall, and George Wythe. But George Wythe off to a good start at 3-0. They're number 5, and they graduated all but one guy from their team that won a championship. You got Luray, you got Alta Vista, you got Patrick Henry Glade Spring, you got Northumberland, Brunswick. Class 1's got some depth to it. It might be the second most competitive across the board, top to bottom of the rankings, to just Class 4. Class 1's looking like it's got some strong teams there and competitors.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with them, obviously, but it looks like some schools from the past. Luray, Alta Vista have been in there before. Brunswick's kind of new. Back in the day, Brian Stiff days, way long time ago, this was regular for them, but they were higher classification back then.
Well, they're not new to us, they're new to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. As a wise man once said, it's new to you, it ain't new to us.
Okay. And you have any problems with that rankings? Are you good with it?
Go back down to your honorable mention.
All right. He's going to try to find a team here, and Natalie knows about them. Grundy, Eastside, Rappahannock County, and Holston.
Rappahannock County needs to be ranked.
Just because they're 4-0.
No, they're legit. They're legit.
He lost last night by 65. What are you talking about? No, I'm playing.
They need to be ranked. Take Nelson out of there.
Whoa, Nelson out of there. Nelson's in class 2.
All right, sorry. Go back down to 1. Go back down to 1. Who's number 10? Oh, Narrows. Narrows needs to be narrowed out of there.
Wow. Okay. Maybe we'll set up a Narrows Rappahannock County game since you've got it all figured out over there. This is what he does with my rankings every week, folks. Every week. He sends me a little message. Yep, they're too high or too low.
You just do some random in the middle of playing with lollipop stuff and just throwing stuff out there. I
don't do no randomization here. That's not how we roll. It's not how we roll. All right, you will hear our commentary for those that missed it on the program earlier this week. The real quick commentary of we did gloss over earlier because of time restraints. So get a quick 6-7 minute segment. Oh, Ed went off the screen of the Class 4, Class 2, and Class 1 championships. And then we'll come back and put the finishing touches with the NFL picks for this episode of 757 Sports Talk. You're watching with us right here on Cova Sports TV. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
I'm just grateful to have such good players. You know what I mean? We came to play today. I'm so proud of how we dug ourselves in a little bit of a hole early. I never really got worried about them because I know this group of guys and I knew that they were not going to back down. And they really dug their heels in. We were down 12-0 there after turning the ball over twice. We really dug our heels in, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Just break down that message for me a little bit after that first quarter. I saw you talking to him. What was that message to him just to get back on track?
Just the same thing we've been telling them all year. I tell them guys all the time that the toughest team that we play is ourselves. We beat ourselves sometimes, and when we don't beat ourselves, we're tough to beat. And that's what I told them. We're all right. Things are going to work out. We just got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. And once we got that out of the way and stop making silly mistakes and fumbling the football, things like that, the Rams roll.
How big just this run game as a whole? I mean, every team knows going in here, it's ground and pound. To be able to have this kind of number up here tonight, what does it say about this line, this whole offense?
Well, we knew coming into the game we were going to ride those big boys up front, and we were going to try to wear them down. They've been our strength all year, up front on both sides of the ball, and I couldn't be more happy. They played very, very well tonight.
And for this program to come back to Salem after last year, be right back to where this team wanted to be, to be able to finish off on top, how special is it for this group, these seniors?
It's super special. It's a special group. They're awesome. I can't say enough good things about them, and they really took it week by week, and we got to the last week, and we handled business, and I'm really happy.
To start the way you did last year and have it go south right away,
yeah.
What did it take
was it the guys' experience that got it out of that hole? Or?
I definitely think it was the guys' experience. And, we started out in the same predicament last year, and we kind of tucked our tails and folded a little bit. But I knew that was not going to be this group. Obviously, Glenborough, I would have rather not dug a hole there. It would have, probably added some years onto my life if we would have not started out 12-0. But, I knew our guys wouldn't quit. And once we got rolling, we were tough to stop.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we're back here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and interact with us as we talk more about the state football championships. Ed, Strasburg Rams, one of two teams like the Varina Blue Devils who lost in the championship round a year ago, and they got back and got themselves redemption. Strasburg lost in the title game last year to Graham. They win this time 49-27 over a Glenver team that had not suffered a blemish. Meanwhile, it was Varina getting it done over Loudoun County 47-0, just dominant as could be in the championship game, and the statistics bear it out as they win the title. Second one in 5 years for Marcus Lewis and his Blue Devils. We share some of the stats from this game as they're just remarkable. They outgained Loudoun County 600-58. Yes, 600 total yards, 58 for a team that had not lost a game to an opponent in Virginia all season long. Their one loss was by 1 to Jefferson of West Virginia. So they didn't beat some scrub team, and that's about as darn good as perfect you can play in a championship game, isn't it?
600-58 wins in anything you play. That's
quarterback goes 9 of 10 for 153 yards and 3 touchdowns, had 153 yards rushing before he got knocked out of the game with an injury. Caleb Weiss.
Yeah, that's amazing stats. That's just moving the ball all over the field. And there is something to be said. Your earlier statement about they lost and the state came back and won this time. I do think as a coach that if you've been there before and a lot of returnees and you're playing somebody that's their first time, you have a big advantage because that first time people, and they have not gone through all that journey and, all the talk about going, the excitement and the different preparation you got to kind of take for that. I think there's a lot to it.
Another team that won themselves a championship, the Rappahannock Raiders. We caught up, well, we didn't catch up with, but our man Robert Anderson caught up with the head coach, William West. Those dudes from the Class 1 level, Single A Northern Neck. Give them some shine here now on Cova Sports TV.
These things are not easy to win. You had to get by Essex. You had to get through that thing last week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Down at halftime tonight. I mean, how tight was this? What kind of accomplishment is this for this?
It's a great accomplishment, and it speaks volumes about the kids that we put on the football field. They've been resilient all year long, playing hard, executing, and never putting their heads down. And that's what it's all about. You play hard, you talk about being here, and then you got to take advantage of all your opportunities, and they did tonight.
What was your message in there at halftime to these guys down 14-6?
We just got to play football. We're one player away from making a play, and, we come out the locker room, we get a 3 and out, and then we go up there and offensively Clyde makes a huge play or whatever. So we did what we had to do on that side of the ball as well.
Yeah, after the, you missed the 2-point conversion, you're still down. I mean, how confident were you right then?
We were fine. We felt like we figured out a few things on the defensive side of the ball. We filled gaps a little bit better, allowed our linebackers to come downhill to make some plays at the line of scrimmage. And, if we could get the stops, I just felt like the offense, we just missed 1 or 2 blocks in the first half that we made in the second half. So
I know this isn't a one-year thing. How long has this been in the making for Rappahannock to do this?
We felt like we should have been here last year. We had some injuries at, a key crucial time of the season. And I felt like we were as good as we are this year. I think we were even better last year.
You got number 2 coming back, right?
Well, not now. He's a senior, so he's done. But
he's done.
Okay. He's done. But, last year, as a matter of fact, he was injured in the regional championship game. He didn't play at all. He came out. We thought he was going to give us something he wasn't able to. And, some injuries are part of the game or whatever, but, that was one that we wish we could have had back.
All right, thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That number 2 for Coach William West and the Raiders of Rappahannock is none other than Kenneth Madison. Ed, He runs for 224 yards and 4 touchdowns on 19 carries. And here's one of those scores now.
Inside give to the 2. KJ Madison, touchdown.
Little juking, little jiving, bob and weave. You can see why Michael Vick in Norfolk State's recruiting him, huh?
Got some shifty moves, and he took a hit and bounced off and kept going. So, young man might have a nice future at the collegiate level.
49-14, they finish off 12-2 overall to win themselves the Class 1 title. All right, we'll come back and put the finishing touches on this episode of 757 Sports Talk. You're watching with us right here on Cova Sports TV.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
We're muted. Thank you. Back here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. This is my favorite clip of the week, though. Did you see this young boy about Rocky Top? You got to watch this. He knew Dad was going to whip him with a belt if he sang that song in Georgia. They don't sing Rocky Top. You're a diehard Ugga fan. No chance. No chance.
He was between a rock and a hard place.
He was not singing that song. No way. It's like, want them peas? Nope, don't want them nasty peas and carrots. Not happening. Not happening. All right, Edward, it is almost time to close out this show. But before we do, we have to go through the NFL picks in the league where they play for pay. And just to recap, folks, tell them how things went in Week 15, shall you? Shall we? Go ahead.
Well, seeing that you had a pencil with an eraser and you changed some things, you went 3-0.
Oh, there's no erase marks. This is all ink pen, baby. All ink pen. There's no pencil. No, this is all ink pen.
And conveniently, I end up in last with the 1-2.
Are you saying it's fixed? Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
Are you insinuating it's fixed?
Most of the people know that it's fixed.
Why would you say such a thing?
I'm one to tell the truth, and that's what.
Do you have evidence to back up those accusations?
Yeah, nobody knows what you're doing with your picks until we see what the end result is. You don't send them out there and say, "Here it is," so that we all can see.
Where am I sending them out? You want me to post it on social media for you? What do you want to send it out? You want a newsletter? What do you want? Newsletter? Send them out. What am I sending them out to?
What, social media, so we all can see it, and then we know there's no shenanigans behind the scenes.
Okay. So I'll be glad to post after this week's 3-0 week for me and 0-3 week for you. Last week, to recap, folks, they can go back and watch it on Cova Sports TV, by the way. What we'll do next week, just to make you feel better, we'll have a little recap of the picks to close out. So you can watch that, and you have visual evidence since you think this is fixed. I had the Bills -1.5. They came roaring back to beat the Pats from 17 down 35-31. Ravens -2.5. It was an easy laugher over Cincinnati 24-0. And Denver, the Broncos, plus the 2.5. They came from behind. They rallied. What a rally they had at home against the Green Bay Packers. Tough situation for them with Micah Parsons going down, though. So I do feel for the Packers and Packer Nation out there as they ready to take on the Bears on the road. But it was Denver prevailing 34-26 in that one. So that was 3-0 for me. You, sir, you add the Niners -11.5. That was a good pick by you, 37-24 for the Titans. However, you took Dallas at home against the Vikings. Why would you take the Cowboys? They lose to the Vikes 34-26. And you had over 41.5 with Chargers, Chiefs, and you didn't get there. I know Mahomes got hurt, but man, Ed, over 41.5, and it was over as Mahomes took the injury. Tough. Your thoughts?
I really don't have any thoughts. It's not a good year for me in the NFL picks. It's too much shenanigans going on the field with some of these jokers doing some shady things out there and fixing scores certain ways and
fixing scores.
And referees allowing a two-point conversion when it wasn't a 2-point.
Now that was bad. Let me tell you something. That was so bad that it required somebody that had to take the under of 47.5 in the Western Michigan Kennesaw State game yesterday in the Myrtle Beach Bowl and watch every play and literally hold his fingers and bite his teeth down to hope, oh my gosh, there's 47 points going to third quarter and 8 and score the rest of the way. Woo! That was a sweat of sweats, let me tell you. Oh my gosh, a miracle happened. And it wasn't on 31st Street. It was on 55-17. Anyways, so that was the Myrtle Beach Bowl recap for you folks. Kennesaw State did not bring the offense. Thank goodness, because had they done so, this might be a solo show today with Edward.
Hey, and speaking of bowls, helmets off to Old Dominion, getting one in the Cure Bowl.
Yes. How about that job by Ricky, Ronnie, and the Monarchs? You're right. And you know what? Not just that. Pop said, if you remember, Jaden was going to win on Wednesday night. How wrong was he? He was very wrong. That's right. Pump it up. Monarchs capped the 9-game losing streak on the Talent Royal rivalry surfing the Dukes. By the way, they're 2-0 on the call with me this year. Going in for Ted on the men's broadcast. Attaboy, good job. We get our ladies some wins over Ole Miss and company down in Cherokee, North Carolina, and everything will be smelling like a rose. But to follow up on it real quickly, that's going to be one of the bigger days in Monarch sports history, wouldn't you say, to win the bowl game and in the same day to have ODU beat JMU, snapping a 9-game losing skid. I mean, it may not be the greatest day in ODU history. There might be better days, but you're going to be hard-pressed to find one. I mean, you think about certainly the day Billy Mann had the game winner, Villanova. Certainly you think of the day that Chartway Arena opened up, but it's up there, Ed. It's got to be up there. Baseball team making an NCAA baseball tournament's a big deal. the upset of Virginia Tech the first go around. There's a lot of landmark days, but that's in the top 10 for sure. It's got to be.
I think you got two of their flagship programs, football, basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was on the national stage for football in South Florida, and I think a lot of people had South Florida winning easily, especially older starting quarterback gone in the transfer portal. That people didn't even want to watch the game, but they did great in the game. They made more than a service to themselves and letting other people see what Old Dominion football is about. And then
255 rushing. I mean, they're in for 255. They've become a more physical football team under Coach Ronnie. By the way, it was packed in the big blue room as I was doing the game. They had the game up on the big screen at Chartway Arena. And look, I know what you'll say. National championships take precedence, no doubt about it. With what they did under Marianne Stanley, women's basketball, Beth Anders field hockey, those are the days that you when you win a national championship, that stands by itself. But once you get past a few of those days, it's in that probably 6 to 10 range, isn't it? It's got to be at least. I would think it's in the top 10.
Yeah, I think so because it's a long-awaited win over JMU in a series that used to be a big rivalry, and then they're not. Old Dominion's not in that same conference with them, so that's a good one. And again, I don't think many people would have gave the basketball team a chance to beat JMU, and they did a really good job with that. So, yes, those two things put together, it's a great day for Old Dominion. So, ice cream and cake for everybody.
Oh yeah, ice cream and cake, or maybe lollipops. Maybe lollipops is a new trend. All right, let's get to the picks, though. I thought you were going to say for sure.
That video better be burnt and never shown again.
Oh, no, it'll be shown again. And I thought you were going to say a sucker's born every day and say that was me.
Well, that's the problem. You give reference to the word sucker, so you need to stop doing that mess.
All right, let's go to Bruce Pearl's picks, shall we, to show the folks what he's got for this week in the league where they play for pay. Here we go. To cue it up. This is what Bruce has got. Bruce has got Philadelphia minus the 7 at the Commanders today. There's Saturday football in the NFL. Why they're going head-to-head with college football playoff is beyond me. I think it's disrespectful. It's just my opinion, but hey, it is what it is. Arizona plus the 2.5. I like that pick, Bruce. I hope you're right. I hope they only covered the 2.5, but went outright because they are so long overdue. Haven't won since they beat the Cowboys, the Pokes, on Monday Night Football. And he's taking New England plus the 2.5 against the Ravens. I'm surprised at that one. How about you? Are you surprised at that? I'm surprised.
My first instinct is to take the Ravens at home. They really need it. But Patriots has been a team, I think, the most disrespected winning team all year. And in fact, they could be considered the AFC's best team. That's going to be interesting. But Baltimore needs that game extremely. So I'm a little surprised he's going with New England.
Over Denver, huh? Over Denver. Well, I'm going to go, since I get to go first here, and I'm not going to kick it to you. I'm taking it, by the way. I'm not kicking it to nobody. Not you, not anybody.
As long as you don't take I got.
Take what you got? Well, we're going to see. We're going to find out real fast. I thought long and hard about Dallas against the Chargers. I just can't bring myself to doing it. I really can't. Phillip Rivers is old. He's ancient. He played pretty well, but can he beat the Niners? 5.5-point dog? I'm not sure about that either. I'm going to go to the Detroit Lions. You remember, Pittsburgh's coming off. Pretty nice showing. Aaron Rodgers and company. Looking good. But in this situation, short week, right? Didn't they play on Monday Night Football, the Steelers against the Dolphins? Short week. Short week. Going to Detroit. 6.5. Give it to me for the Lions. I like the over 51.5 in that game as well. So if you want to parlay that, folks, it might not be a bad parlay option for you. But give me the Lions minus 6.5 for pick number 1. You get the next 2.
I was looking hard at that Lions pick, and I was looking at that Ravens pick over Patriots. But the one I do feel a little bit better with is going back to, you said it, San Fran and Indy. I watched Rivers come back after 4 years of no activity on the NFL fields. Thought he did good. He didn't embarrass himself, but he ain't beating the 49ers. Give me 49ers minus 5.5.
All right, that's pick number 1 for Edward. Pick number 2, Coach Young, what do you got?
Number 2, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Nobody circles the wagons like them.
Minus 8.5, a little high. That's the game in Cleveland, but I'm going to stick with the Bills. I haven't done anything with them in a while.
Whoa. 8.5? Where'd you get 8.5 from? It's 10.5. What are you kidding?
You cheat right in front of my face. That's unbelievable.
8.5?
I'm looking at ESPN. No, I can't bring up the one you
They
said.
don't have ESPN anymore. They merged with somebody.
Whoever they merged with, they told me 8.5. I like 8.5.
So far behind. I mean, why not? You know what's going to happen? Just somebody's going to say, you know what?
You know what? You know what? I'll take Bill. What is it, 10? 10.5? I'll still take Bill.
How about we split the baby and give you 9.5? Is that cool?
Take that.
All right, 9.5.
Write it down, though. Write it down. Put it in ink so you don't erase
I did.
it.
It's in ink. All right, I get the last two and the next two. So, under 37.5 is very attractive for the Chiefs and the Titans because I'm not sure they can score in this game. But I'm going to lay off it because I'm afraid Minshew might throw a couple picks in the game, and that scares me a little bit. Because of that, I'm going to look at the Denver Broncos. Now, it's now a hook. It was 3. It's now 3.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel good about Denver. They won for me last week. I'm going back to the well against the Jags at Mile High. They're chasing the number 1 seed for the AFC, which they want. They're coveting that badly. Give it to me, the Broncos, Bo Nix to ride high. And then for the last choice, Bruce took Arizona, so I don't want to be a copycat against the Falcons. I will not take that as a copycat. I won't do that. Will not do that.
At Cox, we're
But
always
I tell you what
ahead.
I will do.
There you go.
I want to know what's playing in the background. Apparently some ad is playing in the background. There we go. Did you hear that? I don't know if you heard all that.
I heard it too, yeah.
Yeah. So, anywho.
Gremlins.
It's a gremlin, I'm telling you.
Lollipop segment got us.
Hey, don't worry. Lollipops are coming before we say goodbye to everybody. Bon voyage. I'm going to regret this one miserably. I know I am. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears laying 1.5.
Ooh.
Gets the Green Bay Packers for my last selection. They're at home. I don't think I've taken the Bears all year long. But I think this is a game the Bears are going to schedule. They still have to play the Lions coming up. They also have not just the Lions coming up. They have another tricky game, Ed. They have, in addition to the Lions coming up to close out the regular season, they play in between the Lions and this game at San Francisco. So if they're to lose this game, they could fall out of the playoffs altogether. It is possible. They don't want to do that. They do not want to do that. So this is kind of a must-win game at home against the Pack. They've already lost to the Pack once. They lost to the Lions once. They did split with Minnesota. You don't want to drop to 1-4 in a division, maybe go 1-5 in a division and miss the playoffs at 10-7. That could be rough. So with Parsons out, I think they'll get the ball out quickly. Give me the Bears to go with the Lions and the Broncos, the 3 picks for yours truly. Bruce Pearl's picks to recap it for this week in the National Football League. He has taken Arizona plus the 2.5, New England plus the 2.5, and Philly laying 7 against Washington. For Ed's final selection of Niners minus 5.5 and Bills minus 9.5, what do you go with? Are you going to test the over/under waters?
You got it. And I'm going to my Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh.
It's a 30. Now I've got 37.5. Is it still that?
That is the total. That is the total.
I think Houston can score 37 on their own. So all I need the Raiders to do is score 7. So give me over Raiders, Texas, over 37.5.
Well, here's the problem. The Raiders got shut out last week. If they get shut out again this week and it's 35-0, how sad will you be?
I'm already. I try to stay a strong Raider fan of watching. Last week I kept leaving the TV because they're hard to watch. I really feel for Max Crosby. That team pretty much has given up, and Houston can put points on the board. So that's why I'm going with it. I think Houston can get 37 on their own.
I don't know. Houston's defense is really good. I'm not sure the Raiders can score. Is my concern for you. I think you can go under, but you're going to go over. So we'll see how it works out for you. It's your 17-28 trying to.
I feel good. I'm going to try to jam around this week.
If you end up, closing out the regular season 9-0, you'll only finish 2 games below 500.
That's the goal, baby. You do best you can.
That's the goal.
That's what I told my team. We were down, 14? I said, look, forget the scoreboard. Let's just play possession by possession, okay? Hold them to 0. Let's get at least 2. And we got within 1. So who knows?
Who knows? Well, that's going to do it for this episode of 757 Sports Talk. For the coach, Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield, and we'll catch you next time right here on Kova Sports TV. See you later, everyone. Happy holidays. And when we see you next week, it'll be Christmas time.
That's right. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Valentine's Day if you celebrate it now. Thank God we got
Feliz
rid of
Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Yeah, and Noel.
And we leave you with our new Christmas song.
Father.